Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a thrilling scenario to explore. What if Naruto and Team 7 were trapped in the MHA universe? Get ready for an intense ride as we dive into this crossover and see how our favorite ninjas handle a world filled with quirks, heroes, and villains. A big shout out to the Muscle for this amazing concept. Link in the description, so be sure to check out their work and give them some love. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a like. It really helps the channel and motivates me to keep bringing you awesome stories. Let's jump right into it. Kaguya looked around frantically for a way out of her predicament, her long hair forming a white blanket. The Otsutsuki spotted three figures, a pink-haired girl coming from above and two boys coming from each side. An idea hits her head harder than the rock on Obito, and Kaguya moved back swiftly. Using the last of her chakra, she created a large portal just under the colliding group. Without having any time to react, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura crashed and fell into the black portal. This was her trump card that she didn't just hope, but knew would work. Great idea, mother! Black Zetsu praised as Kaguya breathed heavily, slowly falling to the ground in exhaustion. Black Zetsu grinned like a maniac. After you regain more chakra, you can finally kill them before they return here. Trust me, they're not coming back. She breathed out, exhausted but triumphant. Kakashi looked upon the Otsutsuki in horror. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, what did you do? He coughed, blood spilling from his mouth and eyes. Kaguya didn't respond, only breathing out in exhaustion, grimacing at the injured human. Black Zetsu grinned widely, giggling in insanity. Kakashi fell to the alien-like ground in defeat. They're gone. We won. Hee. You weak shinobi can't do anything now. Zetsu cackled. Kakashi felt all hope vanish. Without Naruto and Sasuke, there was no way they could seal Kaguya. He himself had so little chakra that he was barely hanging on. What now? Kakashi thought, dread filling his mind. I'm sorry, Obito, Rin, everyone. We failed you. Everyone screamed in surprise as the ground beneath them collapsed to form a landslide. The class found themselves thrown in front of a forest with their teachers and pro-heroes on top of the cliff they were previously on. Everyone shakily attempted to get up from the rubble, looking around in confusion. Good luck, the cat hero called, walking out of sight with a grin plastered on her face. As Aizawa and the wild pussycats left the side of the cliff, Aizawa looked back. Out of the corner of his eye, far away, a black object appeared. But just as quickly as it appeared, it disappeared. He frowned. Did you see that? He spoke up. Ragdoll turned to face the teacher. Confusion spread across her face. Nope. Did you see something erase her head? My eyes must be playing tricks on me, he thought. No, I guess not. Aizawa sighed, putting his hands in his pockets. The students of Class 1A got up slowly, shocked from the fall. Before anyone could properly process the situation, a loud roar shook the ground. The rest of the students scrambled to get when they saw a huge clay monster. Koda attempted to speak to the creature, but it didn't work. Some of the students screamed as the monster brought down its large fist, dodging just in time. Run! Someone screamed as the students began to run into the forest in terror. Where the hell are we now? Naruto groaned as he lifted his aching body off the green grass. Where's Kaguya? I don't sense her chakra. Sasuke mumbled, ignoring Naruto. I don't see any traces of chakra, he mumbled. I didn't see this world when I was with Obito. What is this place? It looks scarily like our world. Sakura spoke up. Kakashi isn't here either. The three shinobi stood in what resembled a ring, taking in their surroundings. They stood in the middle of a dense forest, unable to sense any chakra. Sasuke looked around urgently with his Rinna Sharingan, but despite his efforts, he couldn't see anything. The nature chakra feels sorta weird here, Naruto mumbled to himself. The ninja were shaken out of their thoughts quickly when a terrible roar erupted from behind them. Out of the darkness came a huge earthy monster. What the hell? I didn't sense him at all, Naruto yelled as he jumped away from the creature in surprise. Whatever, I'll just kill him. Right after the blonde ninja said that, he charged up a Rasengan and charged at the monster. Rasengan! He screamed. The monster collapsed immediately at the contact of the dense chakra, spinning wildly before exploding. Naruto jumped back and returned to the other two, relaxing from his fighting pose. He went down too easily for being a part of Kaguya's world, Sasuke muttered. He didn't have any chakra in him either. What is this place? A world without chakra? Sakura gasped. How are we going to get back? We need to seal Kaguya. Kakashi-sensei might be dead by now. Damn it. We don't have a way to get back. We can't open Kaguya's portals. Naruto said, clearly frustrated. We should try to explore. Kaguya might follow us and we can't stay in one place. Sasuke suggested. Sakura and Naruto nodded in agreement. But before either of them could follow through, Naruto spotted trees falling in the distance. Whoa, hey, Sasuke. Sakura over there. Naruto pointed out urgently. The shinobi quickly turned their attention to where the knucklehead ninja was pointing. And just as he said, several large trees were quickly falling to the ground, one after the other. Noises of trees snapping and breaking got closer and closer. That can't be Kaguya. She wouldn't be dumb enough to give away her position. Don't engage until we figure out who it is. Got it, Sasuke ordered, staring down Naruto. Right, the highly skilled ninjas jumped up to the trees, leaping from branch to branch. As the three-man squad quickly made their way to the area of the fight, the students of 1A were struggling to take down the enemies. Todoroki was trapping the bigger monsters with his ice, followed by either Midoriya, Bakugo, or Ida destroying it. The other students were either taking down the smaller monsters or scouting ahead for more. I think that's all of them for this area, Mina announced. The class breathed out a sigh of relief. All of them were exhausted from fighting the mud creatures one after the other. Bakugo screamed and ran forward. You can stay here, you fucking extras. I'm taking all these guys down. Kakin. Wait. Midoriya yelped, stumbling as he ran after the explosive teen. Kids? Naruto whispered. They look like students. The group was now positioned high in the trees, looking down at the class. It looks like they were the ones causing the destruction, but they don't have any chakra points, Sasuke observed. They don't look like ninjas either. This is the first world that I've seen that had life on it. They look human too, but why would she take us here? Sakura questioned. This place has no chakra. I think she didn't want us to come back until she was ready to face us fully, Sasuke stated. This would also prevent anyone here to help us, assuming they don't know we exist. Naruto shivered. Weird. Then what should we do? Should we try to talk to them, or should we lay low until we find a way to escape? Sakura whispered. Sasuke hummed, thinking for a bit. Naruto was still in his Bijou mode. He was basically a beacon of light, but he couldn't risk the second of returning to that form if Kaguya were to come back. So leaving that mode was out of the question. Sasuke himself wasn't exactly dressed in very casual attire. Not to mention each of them looked like they were half dead. All of them were covered in blood and bruises, on top of the fact they were in a forest and complete strangers. At the same time, it would be better to get to know this world to find the best way to escape. Sasuke stood up. We'll lay low for now. Once we know this world a bit more, maybe we could talk to them. Before the team could respond, a loud, angry voice from below screamed, Who the hell are you? Aizawa stared at the large forest his students were currently in. Unease bubbled in his stomach. He couldn't get his mind off of the odd thing he saw earlier. He wasn't convinced that what he saw was a figment of his imagination yet. He wasn't sure that it was real either. His fear grew as the teacher also noticed that the action seemed to slow to a stop in the forest. He turned to face Ragdoll. Hey, Ragdoll, could you monitor the kids? He asked in his slightly gruff voice. You really like those kids, Dansha Eraserhead? Ragdoll giggled. But all right. Ragdoll turned to face the forest and activated her quirk. Her face quickly went from her normal smile to a worried, then horrified look. She whipped around and yelled, Stop the bus! We have to get to the kids. There are 3 unknown figures near them. Bus driver, take Koda to the camp and tell Tiger and Mandalay that the students are in danger, Pixie Bob ordered. The driver nodded. Aizawa quickly stood up from the bus seat, barely waiting for the bus to stop. Him, Ragdoll, and Pixie Bob leaped out of the vehicle and into the forest, running full speed to the class, praying that the students were safe. So much for laying low. Sakura muttered. So what's the plan now, Sasuke? Naruto said sarcastically. Shut up, moron.
Oi!
Don't ignore me, you dash. He's almost as annoying as you, Naruto. Sasuke tightened his jaw in annoyance. Naruto glared at the other and attempted to walk toward Sasuke. Hey, this isn't the time to fight, Sakura said, putting herself in the middle to make a barrier between them. Kakin, what are you, dash? Another kid showed up, this one with messy green hair. He froze in his tracks when he looked up and saw the team. After him, more and more students showed up. Sasuke cursed under his breath. Now all 20 students were staring at the team, either shocked, scared, or ready to fight. This was the worst possible situation in Sasuke's mind. Then, the blonde screamed, "Fuck this!" He jumped up, firing explosions behind him to propel him to the tree. Naruto quickly jumped into action, punching the spiky-haired male twice before grabbing him by the back of his shirt and landing perfectly on the ground. Sasuke and Sakura followed behind him, landing next to Naruto. Look, we don't want to fight anyone. This is all a huge miscommunication. Naruto was suddenly cut off by an angry male. Let go of me, you bastard, he screamed, attempting to wrench his way out of Naruto's grip. The explosive boy twisted out of Naruto's hold and jumped away. Shut up, I don't care. Just get out of this damn forest before I destroy you, he threatened. This is a mess, Sasuke groaned, face-palming. There, the female voice yelled. Everyone, get away. A masculine voice ordered at the students. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura found themselves cornered, 20 students in front of them and 3 adults who looked an awful lot like Jonin from the right. Looks like we have no choice, Sasuke muttered, annoyed. Looks like we have no choice, Sasuke muttered, preparing to activate Susanoo, the purple flames licking his shoulders. Sasuke prepared himself in a fighting stance, reaching for a kunai. The heroes tensed and prepared to fight. Sasuke, we can't fight them. We don't know how this world works, and we can't afford to waste our chakra, Sakura whispered forcefully at her partner. Sakura's right. Let's try to talk with them first. Naruto agreed, already preparing for his 5-episode speech, flashbacks, and a bunch of random filler episodes. Sasuke scoffed and let go of the weapon, knowing that his teammates were right. Although the heroes didn't relax, they were still in full preparation for a fight. Hey, stop talking over there. Tell us, who are you and why are you here? The black-haired hero ordered. The group of shinobi looked at each other and put their hands up. Naruto smiled sheepishly. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. We aren't looking for a fight, and it would take a while to explain what we're doing here. We don't even know where we are. Sasuke sighed in annoyance while Sakura looked at the heroes directly. I'm Sakura Haruno, and just like he said, we aren't trying to pick a fight with anyone here. Aizawa scoffed. And? What about him? He said, nodding toward Sasuke. Sasuke grimaced. I'm Sasuke Uchiha. He growled out. All right, what are your quirks? Pixie Bob asked. The group looked at each other, confused at what she said. Sakura looked at the hero with a weird expression. Do you mean our jutsu? She replied. Now it was the hero's turn to be confused. Not only do these people look like they've been through war, but they don't know what quirks are. After all, one is glowing with black orbs surrounding him, and another has a swirled purple eye and blood coming out of it. If they were fighting before then, they should know their quirks. Don't act clueless. It's clear you've used them before. Aizawa growled out, unsure at what to do. The group of shinobi looked at each other in an attempt to understand what was going on. Sasuke was contemplating about it all. Despite this being a place where Kaguya could teleport, the people here seemed to have no idea what chakra is. In fact, the world and its people didn't have chakra at all. Yet those students from earlier managed to take down those beasts and knock down large trees in the process with some sort of power. This world also must have been a last resort. There are innocent people here that could get caught in the crossfire of battle. While Kaguya was evil, she wasn't known to kill innocents without reason, since these people didn't even have chakra that she could steal. All right, looks like I'll have to explain a few things to you. Sasuke stared into Aizawa's eyes. The hero tried to hide the unease he instantly felt once Sasuke's eyes met his own. We're not from this world. In fact, we didn't even come here on our own free will. We'd appreciate it if you let us go. While we aren't trying to pick a fight, we won't hesitate if you try to attack us. Capturing us won't do good either, for the both of us. We have no interest in what you're doing here as well. We'll leave this area immediately if you let us go," Sasuke said calmly. Naruto and Sakura remained unchanged, silently agreeing with their partner. "Sorry, but that's not gonna happen," Pixie Bob yelled, putting her paws on the ground and brought a wave of earth flying toward the group. Naruto instantly flew up in the air and used the Truth Seeker orbs to lift Sakura and Sasuke safely in the air. Aizawa activated his quirk, focusing on Naruto, but surprise hit him like a brick. Ragdoll looked over to Aizawa. "Hey, what's going on?" The black-haired hero sweat dropped. "My erasure. It didn't work." The pro heroes stood in shock. Aizawa's quirk not working? Could it be one of their quirks? These thoughts ran a marathon in the pros' minds, although none of them could figure out something reasonable. They didn't deactivate Aizawa's quirk. It was clear that it was still in use, but it didn't affect them at all. Sasuke grimaced. Fighting these guys was just a waste of time to him. He couldn't afford to waste time on these people. He looked down, closing his eyes and preparing his attack. Meanwhile, Class 1A watched this battle from afar, just as shocked as their teacher. The students were unsure what to do. They couldn't abandon the heroes, but were forbidden to help. Meanwhile, Midoriya was already trying to analyze the group. Naruto had to have multiple quirks, one for those orbs and another for him flying, but that didn't explain the odd fire that encased his body. Sasuke's quirk had to revolve around his eyes. But what about Sakura? If Naruto was this powerful, there was no telling what the other two had. But the heroes always win, right? But they don't seem like villains. Even if Sasuke has a scary vibe to him, the green-haired boy thought. Sasuke looked back up. This time, along with his Rinne Sharingan, he activated the Eternal Mangekyo. Almost instantly, the top half of a skeleton encased Sasuke, purple flames flying high. The heroes stepped back, almost in fear. Never have they seen a power like this. Pixie Bob growled. She clutched the forest dirt in her large cat paws, and with a determined scream, she brought forth a wave of dirt and rock. Sasuke's face remained unchanged, cold and blank as the wave of earth loomed over him. Naruto and Sakura, not under the protection of Sasuke's half Susanoo, jumped out of the way easily. As the wave began to descend upon the Uchiha, the skeletal arm moved above the skull, and with one solid quick movement, the dirt changed its direction away from him. But to the horror of the heroes, was now headed in the direction of the students. Naruto and Sakura took action quickly. It wasn't long until both of them were directly in front of the class. Naruto fired up a large Rasengan and Sakura prepared a strong punch. Together they bashed the large collection of soil, sending the wave toward the ground and effectively protecting the class. "Hey, watch where you're throwing this stuff. Aren't you trying to protect these people?" Naruto yelled angrily. The pros stood in shock, once again finding themselves questioning who these guys were. Aizawa grimaced. He had no time to wonder who they were. He needed to capture them and get them away from the students. Although those two just saved his class when he was unable to. Still, we can't afford to take chances after USJ. Aizawa reasoned. Naruto grimaced. "Let's end this quickly, Sasuke. Don't tell me what to do, idiot." Sasuke retorted sharply. The Ravenet scowled and brought the purple skeletal arms toward the pros. Of course, the heroes dodged easily. Being a large skeleton covered in purple fire meant the speed wasn't the best. Just as Pixie Bob was about to send another wave of earth when a battle cry was heard from the trees. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura quickly turned to face where the sound was coming from. "Things just keep getting better for us, huh?" Sakura groaned silently. From the forest shadows came two more pro heroes, with cat-like features and a pissed-off expression decorating their faces. The rest of the wild pussycats emerged from the forest shadows. Both of them looked pissed and ready to fight. Sasuke grimaced. They could easily destroy these people, but they really couldn't afford to make more enemies. Although with 5 of these people on their back, would it really matter? Also, those 20 students in the back are looking anxious and ready to fight as well. "Sasuke, let's get out of here. These people won't listen to us, and we can't afford to waste any more chakra. We're already weak as it is," Sakura suggested. Sasuke scowled, knowing his teammate was right. He undid the Susanoo, and just as quickly Naruto picked up the others with the Truth Seeker orbs and began to fly away. "You're not going anywhere," a gruff voice yelled. Just before they were able to get too far away, Tiger stretched his arms and wrapped them around Naruto. The blonde shinobi yelped in surprise as he was pulled back, suddenly thrown back to the forest floor. "Naruto!" Sakura screamed. "Gah!" The blonde grunted, struggling to get out of his grip. Tiger pulled Naruto into a headlock, wrapping his muscular body further around the blonde ninja. Sasuke and Sakura watched from above. Sasuke scowled again. "Damn it!" Sasuke cursed inwardly. Sasuke growled. "We surrender!" he yelled, poorly trying to hide the clear anger and annoyance laced in his voice. Sakura glanced over to her teammate with confusion and shock written across her face. "Sasuke dash." She stopped herself once she saw a waning glare from the Ravenet. "Sasuke? What the hell are you saying?" Naruto growled. The blonde ninja scowled and used Kurama's chakra to create hands to force himself out of the hero's tight hold. Naruto jumped back several feet away from the group of pros. Sasuke and Sakura jumped toward the ground, the Truth Seeker orbs molding back into spheres floating around Naruto. Sasuke released his Sharingan and stepped forward with Sakura at Naruto's side. Naruto, although angry, relaxed and stood normally. "You surrender? You didn't talk like that before. Why the sudden change?" Pixie Bob asked, still ready for a fight. "Yeah, Sasuke. We could just leave this area like Sakura said." Naruto whispered to his teammate. "Shut up, idiot." Sasuke muttered under his breath. "We surrender because we can't fight you. Or rather, we can't afford to. Our only request is to be held as far as possible away from your students, for their own safety." Sasuke spoke in his normal monotone voice. In all honesty, Sasuke didn't care about the students' safety much, if at all. What he did want was a clear space to fight. If one of the students were to interfere, if or when Kaguya appeared, a multitude of things would go wrong. From Naruto and Sakura getting distracted to those other people running in and trying to fight. Also, judging from the battle they had just now, they wouldn't last 5 seconds fighting her. Sasuke raised his hands, his two other teammates replicating his stance. The heroes sprinted to the group and arrested them quickly. They put on quirk-canceling handcuffs on the team and forcefully escorted them away and toward the base. Class 1A stood there in a tornado of emotions. Shock, fear, nervous, disturbed, even anger. All of them could agree on one thing. These people were powerful, yet they didn't seem evil. A green-haired broccoli boy was already thinking about what had just happened. Why were they here? Why was Mr. Aizawa's quirk useless against them? Are they connected to the League of Villains? How come Naruto seemed to have so many quirks? Was he a Nomu? Were they connected to All for One? What did Sasuke mean when he asked to be kept away from them for their own safety? All these questions ran through his head in little time. But one thing popped out that shook him to the core. They were clearly holding back. "Oi Deku. Stop mumbling like that. Shitty nerd." Bakugo screamed at Midoriya. Midoriya flinched. "Sorry, Kakin." He stuttered over his apology. Bakugo scoffed, annoyed at the smaller student's presence. Bakugo scowled and threw his hands in his pockets. With a grimace, he whipped around and walked away. Midoriya sighed silently in relief, returning his attention to his teacher and the pros. Now the students of Class 1A were following the pro heroes quietly, simply due to the uneasy aura the fight left behind. Midoriya was following this group, of course, but he kept his mind focused on them. The ones now in handcuffs and tightly held in the pros' hands. All of it made him uneasy. They didn't understand quirks yet. They were leagues above even the pros. "No, I can't doubt the pros. They'll know what to do," Midoriya reasoned. Even so, with the way they were speaking to each other earlier clearly meant that something much bigger was at stake for them. Although it wasn't clear what that was yet. All of it still begged the question, were they really villains? Not only did they save his whole class, but they negotiated a truce as well as avoiding lethal blows to the heroes. Although all of that could just be connected to them trying to convince that they're good to mislead everyone. Also, Midoriya, you're mumbling again. A feminine voice spoke from behind the green-haired boy. Midoriya yelped in surprise. Oh, I am sorry." Uraraka smiled at Midoriya, who was now red in the face, but her face grew serious. "Are you okay? I mean, you got pretty close to them." "Wyabi, but Uraraka, do you really think they're a part of the League? I mean, they save us," the green-haired student asked meekly. Uraraka looked away, unsure at how to respond. She was equally conflicted at the question. After all, she saw herself how Naruto and Sakura reacted when they were about to become crushed under the dirt. It was thanks to them that they weren't hurt severely, or worse. But, I don't know. They saved us, but can we consider it a coincidence that they appeared here and now? Especially after all that happened recently, she replied. Midoriya nodded. Although he was still conflicted, he decided to leave it at that for now until they gained more information. Meanwhile, a certain angry blonde was fuming. He was absolutely pissed at what happened. Not only was he completely useless during the fight, when he charged at them, he was defeated so effortlessly. Done away with all too quickly and didn't hit his target once. Bakugo scowled, digging his hands deeper into the pockets of his pants. Kirishima was walking behind the angered blonde. He ran next to him, trying to hide the worry that was on his face with a toothy grin. Hey Baku bro, that was pretty cool how you handled that guy back there. Super manly, Kirishima praised. Bakugo scoffed. Shut up, shitty hair. I didn't even hit him. I'll get that bastard back though. That shitty glowworm won't get away with it. He growled, sparks erupting from his hands. Kirishima looked away from his friend, concern filling him. Hopefully he won't try anything. The shinobi team walked ahead of the group, their hands restrained behind their backs. The three didn't dare retaliate against the heroes. None of them wanted to continue the fight. Even Naruto had calmed down to an extent. Although they never stopped thinking about their world, the people they promised to save, and their sensei who was trapped with Kaguya. They didn't just need to go back, they had to. It infuriated all of them that it seemed impossible, but there had to be a way. There will be a way. As the pro heroes approached the campsite, Eraserhead couldn't stop thinking about the odd fight. Other than the pink-haired girl, they all seemed to have multiple quirks. Also, his own quirk had no effect on any of their quirks despite them clearly having emitter-type powers. Another thing, after talking so big in the beginning, they surrendered so easily just a little later. He knew deep down that the trio could have taken them down more than easily, so why hold back? They were villains, right? But why save the students? Aizawa scowled. There were so many unanswered questions. Could they even continue the training? Even with all the unanswered questions, it seemed clear that these people didn't have an affiliation with the League and didn't intend to attack them. Looks like I'll end up spending most of my time interrogating these guys. He sighed. It wasn't long until the group finally reached the campsite. It would be an understatement to say everyone was tense. No one knew exactly what to think about the trio or the fight. They all knew one thing though, these guys were powerful. Eraserhead, Ragdoll, and Pixie Bob took the ninja team to a closed-off building far away from the students. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were thrown into separate makeshift cells. Although they were separated, they could still easily communicate since their cells were next to each other. Tiger and Mandalay were in charge of guarding them until more heroes could come and take them in, while Class 1A and 1B continued their training far away from the captured ninja. Naruto sat crouched down on the floor with his hands still in the quirk-canceling handcuffs in the middle of his cell. He was no longer in bijou mode and was now in his orange jacket and pants, which were basically in rags. A scowl was etched deep in his face. The amount of frustration boiling within him was more than immense. The tailed beasts within him stayed quiet. They didn't know quite what to say to the pissed-off teen. Sakura was in the same position as Naruto. Her cell was to the right of the blonde ninja. She felt complete defeat. They were trapped in this world in ways more than one. This world had no chakra, yet the people here had powers similar to their jutsu. Like them, they had no idea about each other's powers and abilities. Sakura sighed. Her only wish was to heal her teammates and get on the battlefield as quickly as possible. Sasuke sat in the corner, and like his teammates, his hands were behind his back in handcuffs. The dark-haired male was already planning their escape and trying to figure out how to get back to Kaguya. Although the escape was easy, it seemed impossible to get back to their world. He found himself just as frustrated as Naruto. Kurama! Naruto called out. Kurama opened his eyes and stared at the blonde shinobi. He sighed. It's no use. I can't sense any chakra at all. Not even nature chakra. You won't be able to enter sage mode. Damn it. Any ideas on how to get back? Naruto asked. The tailed beasts stayed quiet, shaking their heads. All of them wanted to get back but had no possible idea on how. Naruto cursed. sitting down on the floor of his mind with a frown. Meanwhile, Class 1A was making food for themselves. Aizawa, Pixie Bob, and Ragdoll observed them carefully. Everyone was tense from what happened earlier that day, although most of the students tried to forget about it. Somehow it worked, and most of Class 1A was a lot brighter than before, unlike the teachers who were very much tense and debating whether or not they should leave in case of an attack. Aizawa sighed. The students were safe for now, but he couldn't shake an odd feeling he got whenever he thought about the group, that maybe something bigger was going on with them, something that wasn't with the League. Although he couldn't think too much about it, he'd have to leave it to the police. I could interrogate them myself, Aizawa thought. He had interrogated villains before, the concept wasn't all that far. Either way, he really did want to know what was going on with them. As a teacher, it was his job to ensure his students' safety. Pixie Bob, Aizawa spoke up. What's up, Eraser? She responded, tearing her eyes away from the class. I'm going to see them. Watch the class. With that, Aizawa turned away from the cat hero and walked toward the makeshift prison. His walk was calm and steady, but his mind was nothing but a hurricane of thoughts. He needed to know exactly who these people were, where they were from, and why they were here. As Aizawa entered the prison, he told Tiger and Mandalay what he was going to do. Although they were nervous, they agreed to it. Tiger would be directly supervising it. He would be right outside the door, while Mandalay would be looking through the cameras and recording the conversation. When Aizawa walked into where the shinobi group was held, he immediately noticed a huge difference in the team, especially the blonde one, Naruto. Not only did Sakura and Naruto look a lot better than when they first appeared, Naruto was no longer glowing and wearing a ripped and dirty orange jacket and pants. Sasuke was in the corner of his cell. He didn't change as much as the other two, but he looked as if he was up to something. The teacher walked up to Naruto's cell. He unlocked it and grabbed Naruto harshly. Hey! Ow! Naruto yelped. Quiet! Let's go! Aizawa pulled Naruto up and dragged him out of the cell. Naruto grudgingly followed him. Sakura watched as her teammate was taken away, worry piling in her. Sasuke just watched blankly. That moron better not say something stupid, was his only thought. Naruto was thrown into a closed-off room. No windows, only a table with a chair on either side. Tiger came in and tied up Naruto tightly to the chair opposite of the door. Naruto frowned as the rope dug into his already injured skin. He stared at Aizawa, slight confusion mixed with his expression. Naruto knew he wasn't the smartest in his team. He needed to think about what he said carefully. A wrong answer could make the situation a lot harder to escape from than what it already was. Hey, could you let us go, Scarf Gramps? We have to do something very important, you know. Naruto attempted to reason poorly. Aizawa raised a brow. Gramps? I'm not that old. He sighed. Your name is Naruto Uzumaki, right? How old are you? Where are you from? I'm 16. We're not from here. We're from Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves. Naruto moved his head, somewhat gesturing to the headband. 16 and already that powerful? Aizawa thought. Aizawa scowled. Do you think this is a joke? Fine. What are you doing here? Naruto's frown deepened. He struggled not to lash back at Aizawa for his comment. We were teleported here by Kaguya. We're not from here. He repeated. Aizawa stared at Naruto. He looked completely serious. Who's Kaguya? She's the lady who imprisoned everyone in the infinite Tsukuyomi. She's trying to destroy the world. We're the only ones who can stop her. I promised everyone that I'd save them, Naruto explained. Aizawa scoffed. That's quite a story, but I think I would have heard about the world ending. TCH. Aizawa was about to leave when Naruto spoke up. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We aren't from this world. If we don't seal her, then everyone here will be in danger too. Scarf Gramps, he yelled. Aizawa frowned. Fine. What is this world like? He deadpanned, sarcasm dripping from his voice. We're shinobi, we fight using chakra and jutsu. We're in the fourth great ninja war against... Well, it's a long story to explain exactly who we were up against. But we're fighting Kaguya, she's super powerful, that's why we have to go back. Super Gramps entrusted Sasuke and I with his power. I promised I'd seal Kaguya away and save everyone, Naruto yelled. Tiger, who was right outside the door, tensed. He was just about to run in the room when, through the small door window, Aizawa signaled to not come in. Tiger paused, hesitantly backing away from the door. He grimaced and kept his eyes on what he could see through the window. Aizawa turned back to face Naruto, who struggled against his restraints. Aizawa kept a calm expression. He stared down at the angry blonde who now had a scowl embedded in his face. "All right, how about this? You show me what your chakra is and maybe I'll let you go." Sarcasm was still lingering in his voice. He called Tiger into the room. Tiger walked over to Naruto and undid his restraints. The shinobi smiled. "All right." Naruto put his hands together and closed his eyes, focusing his chakra. Blue aura surrounded and condensed around Naruto. Aizawa widened his eyes in surprise. Even Tiger stepped back. He wasn't bluffing. No, think rationally, this chakra could be a quirk. But a quirk this strong? With so many possibilities? Aizawa's thoughts ran marathons in his head. He couldn't comprehend what he was seeing at all. "This is my chakra. I can do a lot of jutsu like..." Naruto formed a symbol with his hands. Shadow clone jutsu, just like that. 2 more Narutos appeared on either side of Naruto. Aizawa stepped back, utterly shocked. No matter how hard he tried to reason what was happening, it was clear. Naruto was telling the truth, they were from another world. But that means this Kaguya is real too. "All right, that's enough," Aizawa said, kicking away any shock he felt. Naruto straightened. The 2 shadow clones beside him disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto grinned. "So do you believe us now, Scarf Gramps? We're ninja from the Hidden Leaf Village, and we can't stay here for long. People's lives are in danger, you know. Kakashi-sensei is trapped with Kaguya right now, and we have to save him." Aizawa stared at the kid before him. His eyes were nothing but pure determination. He sighed and looked over to Tiger. Tiger looked over to him, silently asking, "What do you want to do?" The teacher looked back to Naruto. He couldn't let them go yet. Now he definitely can't keep them caged. It's clear that the handcuffs won't do crap. The only reason they didn't resist earlier was to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Aizawa sighed. "Tiger, bring the other 2 here, please." Tiger eyed the tired teacher but did as he was told and left the room. Naruto looked over to Aizawa eagerly. "So are you going to let us go?" he asked. "I'll explain when your friends get here," he answered simply. Sasuke's eyes shot open as he heard footsteps approach his cell. He looked up to see one of the people they were fighting before standing in front of his cell. His tall, muscular build loomed over Sasuke, although he didn't let a molecule of intimidation reach him. Sasuke looked around, realizing that Naruto was nowhere to be found. Sakura noticed as well, worry and nervousness quickly taking over her features. "Where is Naruto?" Sasuke asked forcefully, his voice low and almost to a growl. "I'm going to take you to him, don't worry, your comrade is fine," Tiger answered. Sasuke frowned. Sakura looked a little comforted at what Tiger said, although didn't let her worry leave. Tiger opened Sasuke's cell and grabbed him by the cuffs. He went to Sakura's cell and did the same. He led them to the room and let them inside. Naruto and Aizawa were sitting on opposite sides of the table like before. Naruto smiled when he saw his friends. "Hey guys, Naruto." Sakura spoke. Sasuke said nothing, but he was secretly relieved to see that Naruto was unharmed. Sakura and Sasuke walked over to Naruto, standing next to him. Aizawa put his hands in his pockets and stood up from where he was sitting. He looked at the group with his tired eyes and sighed. "All right, it's clear to me now that you guys aren't from here. I don't know how it's even possible for this to happen. The thing is, we can't let you go, but we can't keep you in with a good conscience either. Until we can figure out exactly what to do with you, we'll allow you to stay here freely. There will be some rules though. You cannot leave this place without us knowing, and we'd prefer you to stay away from the students while they are training," Aizawa explained. The shinobi team looked at each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than what they could hope for. Sasuke stared at the teacher. "All right, we'll accept it. Is there anything else we should know?" Aizawa felt relief fall on him. At least they are cooperative. "Well, in this world, there are heroes and villains. We are heroes, we're training a new generation of them here. We have had a villain problem lately though, calling themselves the League of Villains. This training camp is kept top secret, so I doubt they would know about this place. Don't worry about being in danger here." The team nodded. Sakura bowed. "Thank you, sir." Aizawa waved it off. Call me Aizawa. I'll lead you to where you'll be staying. Gah! They're going to see us. Mineta yelped. Calm down, let's get out of here before they do.
Mina visper ger led.
Jairu jumped up from her kneeling position on the grass, taking her earbud out from the wall. The Baku squad were huddled around the girl. They had all joined up to try to find out more on the quote-unquote villains. They had followed Aizawa to where the team was held, and luckily the interrogation room had a wall that was easily accessible to Jairu. Although with the knowledge they had now, they couldn't call them villains. And now they might actually be able to meet them. Oi, oi, oi. Let's go back already before we get caught.
Bakugo gravled.
Yeah, we should go. We could get in big trouble for this. Mineta whimpered. The team of students began their escape. They managed to get away before anyone could spot them. Jairu hadn't told everyone else exactly what she heard, only relaying the basics. How the odd team wasn't evil and how they were going to stay for the time being. To be completely honest, Jairu didn't know if she believed what Naruto said, but Aizawa believed it. She wasn't sure whether or not she should tell the others exactly what she heard. I mean, another universe fighting a war against a godlike being? Either they would take it as a joke or it'll cause mass panic. Whether or not it was true, Jairu felt that she should wait just in case Aizawa spoke with them about it. If he didn't, then she would have to tell everyone. That is, assuming her classmates won't annoy her to the point of telling them before that point. When the team of aspiring heroes reached the camp, they were immediately greeted with curious stares. After all, it wasn't just the Baku squad planning the eavesdrop. The entire class, save for Ida of course, was all for the operation. As it has been said many times, everyone had questions that were begging for answers about the villain team. Ida was already dashing toward the team once they were in his sight. He furrowed his eyebrows and almost yelled stiffly, "What you did was very reckless. We still don't know much about these villains. If you got caught, who knows what could have happened? Eavesdropping on an interrogation like this is wrong." Bakugo looked at the class rep with a beyond annoyed glare. He scowled. "Shut up, Four Eyes. They came at us first, we have a right to know what they intend to do." Ida was about to add on to his lecture when Aizawa came to meet the class. He stood in front of his students with a blank face. Beside him was Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Whatever tension revolving them already had increased tenfold. Everyone's eyes were focused on Aizawa and the team. Aizawa put his hands in his pockets and looked at his class, who were staring at the ninja with curious eyes. A dreadful silence loomed over the group. Aizawa cleared his throat. "After an interrogation, we learned that these guys are not villains. They will not disturb you during your training, nor do they pose a threat. They will stay here for the time being, that's all." With that, Aizawa left, leaving Team 7 and Class 1A together. Naruto scratched the back of his head as he looked over the class. Sasuke was silent, as was Sakura. The awkward silence held strong. Sakura brainstormed for ways to get rid of the unease. She looked over to her teammates with an idea. "How about we introduce ourselves first?" she offered. Naruto looked at Sakura, then back at the class and grinned. "All right, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I'm 16. Sakura smiled. "I'm Sakura Haruno. I'm 17. Sasuke frowned. His teammates stared at him expectantly. He sighed. "This is useless." He mumbled. "I'm Sasuke Uchiha. I'm 17. We're sorry for any trouble we caused you earlier. You're training to be heroes, right? Your teacher told us." Sakura spoke gently. Bakugo glared at the team from the back. Kirishima was next to him, feeling the irritation roll off his friend. Kirishima looked over with a face full of concern for Bakugo. Suddenly, there was a slam on the wooden table. An angry blonde stood up and yelled, "Fight me, Naruto!" This is a flashback to when Aizawa went to show Team 7 to where they'll be staying. Aizawa led the team to a far-off area. A small building stood in the distance. "That's where you'll be staying. You wanted to be away from the students, right? It's small, but we didn't exactly consider any surprise visits." He spoke tiredly. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura looked over to the building. It wasn't ideal, but being ninjas, they've slept in worse. Sakura looked over to the exhausted pro hero. "Thank you, Aizawa," he sighed. "While being this far off, this will also be a good place to explain some things to you about our world." He turned to face the team, a serious expression on his face. In this world, we have something called quirks. About 80% of our populations have quirks. The result of people gaining these powers are heroes and villains. As I said before, the kids are training to become heroes. I am a hero as well as the others who fought you. The other 4 you've seen are a hero group known as the Wild Wild Pussycats. The one who guarded you is known as Tiger and Mandalay. The blonde one is Pixie Bob and the other is Ragdoll. There is another group here as well, but they're farther away from this area. I'll explain to them the situation. Aizawa sighed. The students will likely ask for your quirk. Tell them that you've been forbidden to talk about it. Whatever you do, do not tell them about where you're from. Don't tell them about Kaguya either. They are still kids and don't need that in their mind. The team nodded, understanding what he said. Sasuke stared at the teacher blankly, thoughts running in his mind. I'm glad you understand. I'm going to explain the situation to the others. You can stay here and get yourselves comfortable. I'll come back later to introduce you to the students. And with that, Aizawa left. Naruto looked over to where the voice came from. A spiky-haired blonde stood with one foot on the table and with an absolutely pissed-off expression. Explosions erupted from his hands. Kakin, Midoriya yelped. Baku bro, calm down. What the hell are you saying? Kirishima stood up suddenly, trying to calm down the angry boy. Shut up, nerd. You too, shitty hair. Bakugo yelled. Bakugo, these people are currently guests here. You cannot be rude to them. Ida spoke up. Everyone in the class was trying to calm down their classmate, but their attempts were futile. Bakugo screamed again. Fight me! All the while Naruto stood beside his teammates, completely confused. All right, fight me with all you got. Bakugo grinned like a maniac. The class looked at both Bakugo and Naruto with horror. The hype quickly ended though. In less than a second, Naruto was face first in the ground with a scarily large crater surrounding him. Naruto! Sakura shouted angrily. You can't fight everyone, idiot. We need to preserve strength. Ow! Sakura, did you really have to hit me so hard? Naruto whined, getting up as he rubbed his head. Sasuke just shook his head disappointedly and muttered something along the lines of, Moron! Class 1 stared at the crater Sakura made in disbelief, then at Naruto, who seemed almost completely unharmed. Who are these guys? Midoriya nearly screamed in his mind. Anyways, I don't think Aizawa would be happy if we fought you. So we won't be fighting anyone. Right, Naruto? Sakura growled, her fist clenched tightly in front of her face. Eep! Naruto yelped. Yeah, sorry, but I can't fight you. Are you scared? Bakugo asked with a cocky tone, getting ready to fight anyway. Bakugo, stand down. A low voice grumbled behind Bakugo. Everyone looked over to the voice in surprise. There stood the tired pro-hero behind Bakugo. An irritated expression laid on his face. If you really want to fight them, then you should at least do it quieter, he muttered. Aizawa grabbed the collar of Bakugo's shirt and yanked him away. Come with me, we're going to have a little talk. Bakugo grunted as he was pulled away out of sight. Another student stood up. He was tall with rectangular glasses. He bowed. I apologize for my classmate's behavior. He was out of line, and as class president, I take full responsibility. Sakura smiled. It's fine. It looks like we both have teammates addicted to fighting. The pink-haired shinobi shot a glare at Naruto. Thank you. Since you introduced yourselves, it's only proper to introduce ourselves. The student put a hand harshly on his chest. I am Tenya Ida, the class president. I am 15. The student you saw before was Katsuki Bakugo. He stated stiffly. A girl with thick black hair pulled up in a ponytail was the next to introduce herself. I'm Momo Yaoyorozu. You can call me Momo. I'm vice class president and also 15. The rest of the class introduced themselves one by one. Each stated their names and age until everyone had introduced themselves. It's great to meet you all. I hope we can get to know each other more, Sakura said. Naruto nodded. Yeah, we'll be staying here for a while, so it'll be fun meeting you all. Sasuke kept quiet, choosing to stare at the class blankly. Could they get any stupider? We have to find a way to get out as quickly as possible. We have no time to make friends, Sasuke thought, frowning to himself. So Eraser decided to let you guys out after all, huh? Pixie Bob spoke up as she walked over to the group. Ragdoll followed closely behind her. Aizawa seems to trust you, which is pretty rare, Ragdoll said. You're pro-heroes Pixie Bob and Ragdoll, right? Aizawa told us about you. Sakura looked over to the pair. Yes, we are. I'm Pixie Bob and this is Ragdoll, Pixie Bob said as she pointed to Ragdoll. Naruto, Sakura, I need to talk to you, Sasuke muttered. Naruto and Sakura looked over to their teammate cautiously until they nodded and followed Sasuke. Hey, you should probably talk here. We still can't really trust you guys, you know. Pixie Bob spoke up. Sasuke scoffed and said, we will be talking about otherworldly things you wouldn't understand. Now let us be, Sasuke said as he grabbed Naruto and Sakura's wrist harshly and pulled them far away from everyone. We can't get attached to anyone here, we have a goal. Don't worry about them, worry about Kaguya. We need to know how to get back to our world and stop her. Because of the lack of chakra in this world, it will be easier to pinpoint her, Sasuke explained sternly. Naruto frowned but understood, as did Sakura. They pulled away and turned to face the heroes. You done? Pixie Bob asked sarcastically. Hey!
Have an idea.
Pixie Bob said. What if you join the class in a hot spring? A hot spring? Naruto asked. Yup. We're planning on letting the students relax for the rest of the day until their training starts. I don't think it'll hurt to let you guys join in. Ragdoll smiled. Naruto grinned. All right.
No.
Sasuke stated harshly. Why, Sasuke? These people are just trying to be nice. They're also the only reason we're out here in the first place. Sakura glanced at her teammate. Did you forget what I just said? You do remember our position here, right? He growled. You guys can go and play nice. I'll find a way home myself. Sasuke scowled, leaving the group and toward where they were staying. Naruto frowned as he watched Sasuke walk away. Sakura looked to the heroes. Please forgive him. Sasuke takes his responsibilities very seriously. Ragdoll waved her paw. Don't worry about it. We know your situation right now. It's understandable he'd be upset. She smiled. So? Do you want to go? Yes, we'd be delighted. Sakura smiled. Yeah, I'm in. Naruto grinned. Ragdoll and Pixie Bob smiled. The class were in a bit of shock. They didn't expect to be able to relax in a bath, much less with the people that were considered a threat mere hours ago. All right, let's go. Come on, class, Pixie Bob announced. Midoriya eyed Naruto cautiously, much like the rest of the class. He still didn't understand completely what was going on. But truthfully, who did? This guy, considered a villain, an enemy hours ago, and now he was bathing with them? What the hell is even going on? Midoriya sighed. As everyone got ready, Midoriya stole another glance at Naruto. His eyes widened in shock. He looked like he went through war earlier, but he looks completely healed now. Barely even a scratch. Midoriya wasn't the only one who realized this. Many other people in the changing room noticed this as well. There wasn't a powerful recovery hero like Recovery Girl here, so how was his wounds healed? The other two seemed healed too, but how? Could it be that one of them has a healing quirk too? But that would mean they'd all have at least 2 quirks. Suddenly, a terrifying thought came to Midoriya's mind. Did the League of Villains manage to create human-like Nomus and these guys are Dash? Midoriya, right? You're mumbling to yourself. Naruto spoke up. Midoriya jumped. What? Oh, I'm sorry. It's fine. Anyway, what happened to that angry guy from before? Naruto asked. You mean Bakugo, right? Another voice cut in. Ida? Midoriya looked over to where the voice came from. Ida adjusted his glasses and looked at the pair. Aizawa took him. He'll come back soon. Please forgive him for any irresponsible actions. Ida stated. Naruto grinned. It's fine. Anyway, let's go to the bath. The group left the changing room along with any other lingering members. Meanwhile, Sakura was talking to the girls of Class 1A. So, are those other guys you brothers or something? Mina asked Sakura eagerly. Sakura snorted. Nope, not at all. They're just my teammates. But Naruto is a lot like an annoying little brother. Sasuke is sort of good-looking though. Hagakure spoke up. Yeah. Sakura laughed sheepishly. Let's go to the bath, guys. The water feels wonderful. Uraraka called out. As the rest of the girls jumped into the bath, it wasn't long until they began to surround Sakura with a storm of questions. First was Momo. who looked over to Sakura calmly. So I'm assuming your quirk is super strength, right? Or something to do with controlling air pressure around your fists? She asked. I suppose you can call it that, but we've been forbidden by Aizawa to talk about our quirks. Sakura responded. Meanwhile, Naruto had been asked the same question, but a little different. So what's your quirk? I've been trying to figure it out, but I can only come up with a couple. Like that glowing state you had before, you had that swirly bomb and black orbs which you could control. Do you have multiple quirks like Todoroki? How about your teammate Sasuke? Is your quirk similar because of the visible aura dash? Midoriya kept ranting and theorizing, but Naruto got lost halfway through. Well, I don't know about that. Scarf Gramps told us that we couldn't talk about it. Sorry. Naruto grinned awkwardly. Mineta, I must implore you to control yourself. Ida suddenly shouted. Dude, I'm not sure that's a great idea.
Kaminari added.
Mineta ignored the warnings of his classmates. He popped off the balls on his head and began climbing the wooden wall. He's just like pervy sage, Naruto thought. Suddenly a realization came to him. Sakura might see him. Hey, I think you shouldn't do the dash. Naruto started. But before he could finish his sentence, a kid popped up from the top of the wall. The kid frowned at Mineta. You shouldn't do that, you pervert. He muttered and shoved Mineta off the wall. Curse you, Kota! He screamed as he fell off and into the water. Naruto couldn't help but feel relief. At least Sakura wouldn't be killing off any student today. On the other side of the wall, the girls cheered. They thanked Kota for stopping Mineta, but Kota looked over to the side on accident. The kid gasped in shock and fell over. Naruto was just about to rush over and catch the kid, but Midoriya beat him to it. His body was glowing, blue lightning surrounding his body.
Kota!
Midoriya yelped as he caught the kid. Did he pass out? Naruto asked, walking over to Midoriya and Kota. Yeah, I'm going to take him to the office with his aunts, Midoriya said as he held the kid. After that, the class relaxed a bit more in the bath. By the time Midoriya came back, everyone was drying off and getting ready for bed. Naruto didn't even take 2 steps out of the bathhouse when he heard his name. Naruto! Sakura shouted angrily. Naruto visibly jumped. As Sakura, the pink-haired shinobi, stomped her way toward Naruto, her eyes practically flaming. Did you try to peek again, you pervert? Gah! No, it wasn't me, Sakura. I promise. The blonde rushed out, but his attempts were in vain. Sakura punched him hard on the head. Shut it, Naruto. Ugh, you didn't change at all. She sighed disappointedly. Naruto groaned, his mouth filled with dirt. He got up slowly, rubbing his head. You really didn't have to hit me that hard. The few people who lingered stared in shock. This was the second time Sakura punched Naruto, even though a large crater surrounded him that showed the force of the hit. Seriously, how are you okay? Midoriya shouted in his mind, looking at the scene with a bewildered stare. Day 1 of training. The class trained hard, each of them working to improve their quirks. Team 7 sat far away from the class on top of the mountainside. They had a perfect view of the class and their showing of abilities. While Sasuke personally had no interest in the students themselves, he was interested in their power. After all, if Kaguya did end up attacking, he needed to be able to find out who could possibly last against her in a fight. Although it wasn't the same for his teammates, Naruto was genuinely curious about the upcoming heroes as well as Sakura. The people here weren't bad at all, so it didn't hurt to make a few friends, especially in a world they knew almost nothing about. These students are pretty powerful,
Naruto observed.
Yeah, I bet they'll be great fighters one day, Sakura agreed. Sasuke grunted, almost glaring down at the students. Personal attachments to these people were useless. They needed to fight Kaguya. Kaguya was merciless. Only a couple of the students here would stand a chance to survive. They may be powerful here, but in the world of ninjas, no way. So you're watching the students training? A voice popped up from behind the team. The team turned around to see the tired teacher of Class 1A facing them with his hands in his pockets. There's something that has been bothering me about your story, Naruto. Aizawa spoke monotonously. You say you're 16 and 17, right? You're not even adults, but you claim you were fighting on the front lines. Team 7 looked at Aizawa with slight confusion. In the world of shinobi, it wasn't uncommon for people as old as 11 risking their lives on missions. After all, they fought people like Zabuza when they were just 12. Sakura looked up at Aizawa. Ninjas don't go on missions based on age. There's ranks when it comes to shinobi. Jonin are the highest, then Chunin, and last is Genin. The Jonin and Chunin were sent to fight. They're made up of mostly people who are about 15 and above. Genins are mostly 12 and 13. They're mostly rookies who just became ninjas. We left them in our villages to protect the people just in case. I think the younger Chunin were left with the Genins too. Our worlds work very differently, it seems. We focus on power. It's what is needed right now, sadly. She explained, "You're only kids and you're already fighting in a war." Aizawa's voice trailed off. "Oi, we're not kids." Naruto piped up. "We are shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village." Sasuke sighed. "Aren't you still a Genin, you moron?" He mumbled. "It's only because I missed the Chunin exams, you know." Naruto yelled. "Yeah, and you were dumb enough to lose the first time." Sasuke replied shortly. "You lost too." Sakura sighed. "Naruto, you weren't even supposed to fight in the war." Sasuke wasn't supposed to show up either. Aizawa stared down at the bickering team. Even though they fought in a war, they're still kids, I guess. Suddenly, there was a loud yelp, quickly followed by the sound of crackling. Team 7 jumped up along with Aizawa to find the source of the sounds. They ran down the mountains and found both Ida and Kaminari on the ground. A couple of students surrounded the two, asking if they were okay. Sakura and Aizawa were at their side in a flash. They both examined the students carefully for any major injuries. "What happened?" Aizawa asked as he kneeled over Kaminari. "Ida ran into Kaminari by accident and he shocked him," Mina explained quickly. "The electricity luckily avoided any areas that would cause major injuries. It didn't damage any nerves or organs. He has a few burns and is unconscious, but he'll be fine," Sakura relayed. Aizawa and Mina looked over to Sakura in surprise. The pink-haired shinobi had her hands hovered over Ida, a green glow emanating from them. It wasn't long until the burns on Ida was gone. "How are you doing that?" Shiro exclaimed, who stood next to Mina. Sakura looked up at him. "I'm a medic." She answered simply, "Aizawa, I'm going to look at Kaminari, okay?" Aizawa nodded, stepping away from the blonde. Sakura propped Ida against a nearby tree and went to Kaminari's side. She hovered her hands over his body. Kaminari had his eyes open, but they were half-lidded and were drooling. "He has a sprain in his right wrist and is in shock. I'll have to treat his wrist." Sakura gently held his hand. A green glow surrounded her hand again. After a few minutes, she stood up and looked back to Aizawa. "Kaminari should avoid using his hand for the rest of the day, and Ida will need a bit of rest, but they're fine." Sakura smiled. "They should be able to train fully tomorrow." "Thank you, Sakura." Aizawa nodded. "Mina, Shiro, help carry them into the cabins." Mina and Shiro nodded. They swiftly picked up the two and carried them away. "So I'm guessing that was a healing chakra?" Aizawa spoke up after the students were out of sight. "Yup. Sakura is the best healer around." Naruto smiled. Sakura smiled. "Thanks, Naruto. Weren't they just fighting?" Aizawa thought. The tired teacher sighed. "Well, the day is almost over. Later today, the students are going to have to make their own food. You don't have to, but you should cook with the students," Aizawa stated. Sasuke said nothing. He had stayed quiet throughout the day. He couldn't believe how stupid and naive they were. "They can't get attached. We have to find a way out first. Why can't those idiots realize this?" During all of this, Sasuke was desperately trying to figure out how to get back. His mind always drew a blank. It frustrated him to no end. It didn't help either when his teammates would rather get close to everyone else than help with an escape plan. Sasuke had goals, plans that he would do anything to finish. He needed to get back. What Sasuke didn't know was that Naruto felt incredibly depressed. Naruto knew he wasn't the smartest in his group, but even the tailed beasts had no clue when it came to escape. Naruto had goals too, promises that were yet to be fulfilled. Naruto was just as desperate to get home as Sasuke, maybe even more. Like Naruto, Sakura had duties to fulfill as Tsunade's student. She wanted to get back to her parents, her friends, her home. Sakura had only one thought on her mind. Team 7 will make it back home and defeat Kaguya. "So you're incredibly powerful, but you don't know how to cook?" Midoriya almost screamed. "I know how to make ramen." Naruto said sheepishly. I can make food pills. Sakura added. Sasuke said nothing, although he knew he couldn't cook anything well either. They were shinobi, not chefs. Any food they made was out of convenience and only made to the bare minimum. Their food was designed to be made quickly and in small, but fulfilling portions. Taste was absolutely out of the question. Cooking fish on an open fire or eating rations given to them were their palate. Making curry was on a totally different level of unthinkable for Team 7. Midoriya was absolutely shocked. These people were able to almost take down a team of pro heroes, yet they can't cook. Well, I could help you out a bit, Midoriya offered. Really? Thanks. Naruto grinned wildly. Midoriya blushed out of embarrassment. It's no problem, really. Thank you, Midoriya. Sakura smiled. Sasuke looked away. As embarrassing as it was, he knew he needed help too. So with the help of Midoriya, Team 7 began cooking. It was rocky at first, but eventually the small team of ninjas got the hang of it. See? You cut up the chicken like this. Midoriya nudged his cutting board toward Naruto. Naruto nodded. Sakura followed closely behind, while Sasuke suddenly found another use for his Sharingan. It wasn't long until they finished their dishes. Luckily, with Midoriya's help of course, Team 7 came up with food that somewhat looked and tasted like curry. Wow! Thanks, Midoriya. Naruto beamed as he ate the curry. Midoriya rubbed the back of his neck. It was no problem. Sakura ate her curry with a smile. I made some modifications to the original recipe, so it's healthier. Do you want to try it, Naruto? The blonde shinobi jumped. And no, it's okay, Sakura. Sakura scoffed. You liked the food pills I gave you when you were training, right? It's the same thing, maybe even better. She pushed a forkful toward Naruto. Naruto cringed, leaning away from the quite possibly poisonous forkful of food. Sakura turned to Sasuke. How about you, Sasuke? Sasuke glared at the suspicious food. No, Sakura sighed. Whatever your loss. She took a bite of her curry, holding back a gag. As the team of shinobi cautiously ate their food, Jiru watched them carefully. She was the only one in her class that knew the truth. Jiru wanted to tell everyone, but she didn't believe it herself. A different world filled with ninjas and something called Chakra? A war against a godlike being? It sounded like something out of an anime. Nothing that could ever even be considered to exist. So why did Aizawa and the other pros believe it? What did Naruto show Aizawa that made it so convincing? There's no way this other world exists. How did Naruto trick him? What is their goal here? Are they with the League? These thoughts ran marathons in her mind. Nothing made sense. There was no easy way to get answers. She couldn't ask Aizawa or any of the other heroes, but there's still a way. It was dangerous, but it was her only way of getting straight answers. Jiru would have to confront Team 7. There was a possibility that the heroes gave them orders to withhold information, of course. But there was a chance to get the answers she needed nonetheless. I'll confront them tonight after curfew. Hopefully things don't get out of hand. Jiru, why so glum? Kaminari wrapped an arm around his classmate with a goofy grin. You don't have to look so serious all the time, you know. Jiru froze. Her body tensed in surprise. Yeah, whatever. How are you feeling, Kaminari? I heard you had an accident at practice. She changed the subject quickly, a little pink dusting her cheeks. Kaminari pulled himself off of Jiru. I'm fine. Apparently Sakura healed Ida and I'll be healed completely by tomorrow. He smirked, flexing his wrist. Already? She rivals Recovery Girl, then. Jiru thought. That's great, Kaminari. Jiru responded. Kaminari giggled childishly. Welp, I'm gonna thank Sakura. See you later, Jiru. He left with a perverted grin. Jiru sighed, crossing her arms as she watched the electric blonde walk off. Meanwhile, a messy, green-haired student stood a few feet away from Team 7. Like Jiru, he couldn't get his mind off of the odd group. They seemed like a normal group of friends from the outside. If it weren't for their clothes, they would fit in society easily. When they fight, though, they're like beasts, no, more like unstoppable monsters. As much as Midoriya didn't want to admit it, the group could have destroyed Aizawa and the other pros, maybe even All Might himself if they wanted to. Back then, they immediately overwhelmed Aizawa and the Wild Pussycats, and it was painfully clear they were holding back as well. If they hadn't surrendered, No, I need to stop thinking like that. The heroes would have found a way. They had to because that's what heroes do. I can't underestimate the heroes and I can't overestimate them. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, they're not villains. At least not Naruto and Sakura. Naruto and Sakura saved us without a second thought. Midoriya looked over to the team, who were eating their curry and talking happily. He wanted answers, no, more like needed them. I can't ask Aizawa or any of the pussycats, All Might isn't here. That leaves them. Tonight then, I'll go to the team alone and ask them about it. Midoriya decided, determination burning in his eyes. That damn glowing bastard thinks he's better than me? Bakugo growled. I'll show him. Bakugo lunged at Naruto with explosions erupting from his right hand. But despite Bakugo's speed, Naruto dodged easily with his guri in hand. Bakugo, do not attack them. That is unheroic and against the rules. Ida said, chopping air with his hand. How did Naruto dodge Kachan so easily? Midoriya screamed in his mind. He's like Konohamaru, Naruto thought. Bakugo growled, his anger skyrocketed. Kirishima jumped to his side and grabbed him by the shoulders, grinning sheepishly. Sorry about that, Naruto. Kirishima apologized as he pulled the pissed-off student away. Kirishima, let go of me, damnit. Bakugo yelled as he struggled to get out of the redhead's grip. Dude, calm down or else you'll get in trouble again. Kirishima let go of Bakugo once they were far enough away. The explosive teen scowled as Kirishima tried to calm him down. I know you're pissed about what happened, but you can't just attack Naruto whenever. Hell, we're not even sure if they aren't with the League of Villains. TCH. Bakugo huffed, looking away from his friend with a scowl. Kirishima sighed, just don't do anything crazy. Alright, Bakubro? Fine, whatever, shitty hair. Bakugo growled out, his brows furrowed together in frustration. Kirishima gave him a toothy grin. Thanks, I'm gonna go back to the others. Wanna come with?
Pasikoi seket, no ishko latser.
Alright, see ya then. Kirishima walked off. TCH, don't do anything crazy, huh? Who does shitty hair think he is? Bakugo crossed his arms and leaned against the wall of the building Kirishima took him to. I can't have that glowing bastard think I'm weak. But I can't fight him if everyone is in the way. The only way is to fight him at night then. If I wait until after camp, I'll lose my chance. It'll be tonight then. Bakugo stood up, a grimace adorning his face. Tonight, just you wait. Naruto. Night had finally fallen. Almost everyone was asleep as Jiraiya slid through the door and made her escape. She had planned everything. All she could do now was pray that everything went as planned. She crept past the buildings that surrounded the main area of the camp, past where her teachers and friends slept. Jiraiya made sure not to make any noise whatsoever. She couldn't take any risks. She needed answers. Meanwhile, Team 7 were huddled in the small building talking about potential escape plans. So far, anything they came up with only led to a dead end. With every failed plan they came up with was another pang of despair. Although Naruto refused to give up, he kept encouraging his teammates no matter what. He refused to lose hope. He couldn't break the promises he made to everybody. Naruto simply refused to allow that to happen, even in their current situation. What are the chances Kaguya comes to us first? Sakura spoke up. Sasuke leaned against the wall, his arms crossed as he gazed blankly to the center of the small room. About 75% right now. But I've noticed something odd about this world. I'm sure you've noticed too. Sasuke paused, looking at Naruto and Sakura's faces. It's been nearly 3 days and our chakra has barely recovered at all. Team 7 looked at each other in silence. A dim light came from a singular light bulb. Sasuke stared at the ground, shadows falling over his eyes. Time runs differently here. Our world runs much slower. I don't think it's even been 5 minutes in our world. Naruto jumped up. So you mean that Kakashi-sensei is fine then? Sasuke nodded slowly. It's only a theory, but there's a good chance. Sakura breathed out a sigh of relief. For the first time in what felt like years, she smiled to herself. Naruto grinned, cheering loudly. That means we still have time, Sasuke frowned. But we still don't have a solid plan to get home. A cold silence fell over the team as the words left his mouth. Sasuke's frown etched deeper into his face. Our only chance may be to wait until Kaguya comes to us. But even then, we don't know how long it will be until then. Sakura finished. Exactly, until we find a way to get home, we can't make any reckless moves and waste chakra. We'll have to play by this world's rules for a lot longer than planned. Naruto grimaced. He slammed his fist against the wall. Damn it! He screamed. Midoriya clung to a tree near the building Team 7 was currently occupying. He jumped slightly as he heard a loud thud emanating from the small structure. All he wanted to do was get answers. He wanted to know why the pros decided to help them so suddenly. He wanted to know who they were, why they were here, their quirks, everything. Something big had to be going on if the pros took it upon themselves to help the people that attacked them only a few days ago. Just as Midoriya was about to make his move, he spotted a dark figure moving swiftly out of the corner of his eye. He hid his body behind the trunk of the tree again. The figure was smaller and moved quickly to the small building. The green-haired boy observed the figure carefully. His eyes widened upon recognizing the figure. Jiru, what's she doing here? Midoriya's mind ran through the possibilities of why she could be here. But the answer was simple, just like him, she wanted answers as well. Jiru ran quickly through the small clearing leading to the building where Team 7 was. She stood in front of the door with a knot forming in her stomach. Behind that door was the potential that all her questions would be answered. But did she want those answers even if it came with a huge risk? No, it's too late for doubts now. It's now or never, you need these answers, Jiru. She took in a deep breath and was just about to knock on the door when she felt a strong hand on her shoulder. The black-haired girl whipped around. Staring back at her was a familiar green-haired boy. Midoriya, what are you doing here? She whispered. Same as you, we both want answers, right? Midoriya whispered back. How much do you know? Only what Aizawa told us. But his story doesn't explain all of it. That's why I'm here. Do you know something more than what he told us? Jiru nodded slowly. I don't believe it though. That's why I'm here. The two students stared at each other. The area got eerily quiet. Jiru returned her gaze to the doorknob and breathed deeply. She turned the doorknob and opened the door. Team 7 tensed as they heard the door open. All of them faced the hallway that led to the entrance. Who's there? Sasuke barked. Midoriya and Jiru walked through the hallway. Team 7 stared them down. What are you doing here? I thought curfew already passed for you students. Sakura asked. Jiru looked up the pink-haired ninja. She swallowed her fear and stared into their eyes. I heard what you told Aizawa then. You're not from this world, are you? Midoriya stared at Jiru, then at Team 7 in disbelief. Not from this world. What does she mean? Sasuke's stare hardened. He knew things were bound to get complicated, but this, TCH, we should have left when we had the chance. What do you mean? Where did you get an idea like that? Naruto attempted to avoid the question. Then where are you from? I heard you explaining it to Aizawa. You can't lie to me about that. Whoa, wait. Jiru. What do you mean, not from this world? That's impossible. All right. Midoriya yelped, frantically searching her face for answers. Sasuke stepped forward, glaring down at the two students. Jiru could feel herself shrink under his unforgiving gaze. Sasuke's voice was just as cold as his stare. You shouldn't concern yourself with that. It has nothing to do with you. I suggest you go back before something bad happens. Sasuke! Naruto exclaimed, jumping to his teammate's side. Sasuke, you can't threaten them like that. Sakura spoke up. Sasuke sneered. You know what we're working with, we can't have students interfere. If anything, I'm showing them mercy. Jiru grit her teeth. It took everything in her not to run for the hills under his ice-cold gaze. You're fighting someone named Kaguya, right? She's incredibly powerful and imprisoned everyone under the infinite Tsukuyomi. That's what you said, right, Naruto? Silence fell over the group. But Midoriya's mind was a loud storm of thoughts. Team 7 neither denied nor confirmed what Jiru just said. He felt light. It was near impossible to process what his classmate said. It sounded so unreal, as if it was some odd joke. But her face was completely serious. There wasn't an ounce of amusement. Wait, Jiru, how do you know this? Midoriya asked, his voice shaky. Yes, I'd like to know too. Sasuke glared. Jiru gulped. My quirk allows me to hear everything, even through walls. She explained, pointing a weak hand to her ears. I got curious and heard everything. I didn't believe it, so that's why I'm here. Sasuke sighed. Then it's useless to hide it from you. It's true, all of it. Naruto and Sakura stayed silent, unsure what to do. Midoriya found his voice. How did you get here? He managed to get out. We were teleported here by Kaguya. Naruto answered. We were hoping to not meet anyone. We didn't want to interfere with this world at all. But you guys found us before we could do anything. Sakura spoke softly. We never wanted anyone else to get involved. Sasuke and I are the only ones that can defeat and seal away Kaguya. It's our job as shinobi to save everyone and protect our world. We have to get back to our world. Naruto adjusted his headband. There's a good chance Kaguya will come here as well. If that happens, we can't be near anyone. Your heroes will be powerless against her. Sasuke spoke darkly. This is why we didn't want anyone finding out. Kaguya will be able to detect us the second she enters this world. If we stayed away, then no one would get hurt. Kaguya is evil and incredibly powerful, but she won't attack anyone who doesn't pose a threat to her. Do you understand? If your pro-heroes found out, then they would prepare to fight alongside us, or at worst, for us. Since apparently we still count as children here. Sakura explained. Too many people already sacrificed their lives for us. We need to finish this battle ourselves. Naruto spoke seriously, fighting back tears as Niji's face flashed before his eyes. Do you understand then? We can't have too many people figuring out our secret. Sasuke looked down at the two with his pitch-black eyes. Jiraiya and Midoriya nodded slowly, still unable to comprehend what they were just told. Bakugo leaned against the wall of the hallway, his eyes wide in shock. Just like his teammates, he couldn't comprehend what he had heard. So you've been working as soldiers since you were 12? Midoriya yelped. Ninjas of the Hidden Leaf. Naruto replied proudly. But why is everyone freaked out by the age? He mumbled. But how did Kaguya even get the power to travel through worlds? Since you're from a completely different universe, how many other universes are out there? Can they travel through worlds too? And what if? Midoriya began to mumble incessantly. The group stared at Midoriya as his ramble continued. Sasuke deadpanned. We're asking for help from this kid? He thought. You're mumbling again, Midoriya. Sakura spoke up. Midoriya literally jumped out of his thoughts. Eep dash. Sorry. Jiraiya sighed and looked up at Team 7. If we hadn't seen you guys fight before, this wouldn't be believable at all. I mean, summoning giant toads, snakes and slugs? It's crazy. Naruto jumped up. That's it. Huh. Everyone said in unison. My summonings. If I can summon Grandpa Sage, then he can summon us to our world. Naruto announced with a bright smile. Sakura and Sasuke's eyes widened. Sakura smiled. How did we not think of that before? That's brilliant, Naruto. Naruto grinned wildly. Let's go, he announced as he rushed outside. Shit, Bakugo searched desperately for the closest hiding spot. It was a small janitor's closet, but it was good enough. He squeezed his muscular body in and closed the door. He saw his classmates and the ninja run by. He was just about to relax when a figure clothed in gray covered the small window. His heart stopped as he saw the handle turn and open the door. Sasuke was glaring down at the explosive boy. For once, Bakugo felt intimidated. His icy cold glare bore into his soul. So you eavesdropped on our conversation? Sasuke spoke with a grimace. Bakugo shoved his intimidation away and sneered. So what if I did? I'm not going to tell any of those extras. Sasuke huffed, almost in amusement. Good. A voice came from outside. Sasuke, are you coming? Shut up, idiot. I'm coming. Sasuke looked back at Bakugo and leaned down to his level. Also, I am much stronger than Naruto, he whispered as if it was a threat into Bakugo's ear. With that, Sasuke walked off to join the others. Bakugo stood there for a good minute as he tried to process everything that happened. He eventually shoved his hands in his pockets with a scowl and walked out of the building. All right, here we go, Naruto cheered. Sasuke, Sakura, Jiraiya and Midoriya stood a few feet away, bubbling with anticipation. The blonde ninja grinned and bit his thumb harshly. Summoning jutsu, he shouted. He placed his hand on the grass and a circular symbol appeared on the ground. Midoriya and Jiraiya gasped as a puff of smoke came from the circle. It slowly dissipated, but when it did, it revealed a tadpole? Naruto yelped. Sasuke nearly laughed. Idiot, Sakura sighed. I guess it would make sense that our summonings would be weaker. Midoriya put a hand on his chin. Well, it's still amazing he summoned anything at all. He mumbled. Naruto whipped around. What is that supposed to mean? Midoriya yelped. Eep. And no, I didn't mean it like that, he replied, waving his arms frantically. The summoning disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto looked back at where the summoning was previously. Maybe I need to use more chakra. Shut up, moron. I told you we need to preserve chakra. We don't recover it like we used to. Yeah, Sasuke's right. Even if you recover the fastest out of all of us, we can't use our chakra whenever we want anymore. Look at yourself, you used too much of your chakra by just summoning a tadpole. You'd be unconscious right now if it weren't for the tailed beasts in you. Sakura spoke up. Naruto growled in frustration and sat on the ground with a frown. Tailed beasts? Midoriya asked. They're giant chakra beasts, essentially. The number of their tails marks how powerful they are. Although they're still insanely strong, they're a culmination of Kaguya's previous powers separated. Sakura explained, right now, all of them are in Naruto. Suddenly, a high-pitched voice burst in. Just because I have one tail doesn't mean I'm the weakest, you pink-haired brat. What was that? Jiraiya asked, a mix of confusion and concern on her face. It's me.
I'm Shukaku.
Naruto jumped in front of the group. His eyes were black with golden irises. I'm not weak either. You remember that. Whoa. What happened to Naruto? Midoriya yelped. Hey, you should ask before taking over Naruto's body. Now the voice was smooth and leveled like a cat's purr. Naruto's eyes were white and blue. Shut it, Shikaku, you're no match for me. A deep, almost raspy voice now emanated from the boy. His eyes were a deep red and feral. Naruto, let us out so I can show him that I'm more powerful. Shikaku screeched. Naruto's eyes returned to their normal shocking blue. Oi! Calm down. I can't release you here, you'd crush the camp. Then go somewhere else. Shikaku screeched again. Sakura sighed as the tailed beasts switched control of Naruto's body and continued their bickering. Midoriya and Jiraiya stood there with confusion and a little bit of amusement.
Vuvu, what is going on?
Midoriya stuttered out. I guess the tailed beasts are fighting. It's been a while since they've been together like this. Sakura replied. How long have they been apart? Midoriya asked. Just a few hundred years. Naruto replied. A few hundred years? Both Jiraiya and Midoriya shrieked. You humans are such simple creatures no matter what world we're in. Another tailed beast spoke up. Now Naruto's eyes were orange outlined with black. Enough playing around. We still need to figure out a way to get back home. Sasuke finally spoke up. Yeah, you're right, Sasuke. Sakura agreed. Tailed beasts. Do any of you have ideas on how to get us out of here? The tailed beasts within Naruto went silent. Naruto, now back in control, shook his head sadly. Red feral eyes appeared over Naruto's blue ones. Kurama was now in control. None of us know how to get back. We can lend you our chakra when the time comes, but for now, that's all we can do. Thank you. Chakra would be very useful once we figure it out. Sakura smiled softly. Naruto's eyes returned to normal. He growled, We can't wait that long. Sasuke and Sakura stared at their frustrated teammate. They might have shown it, but they were just as frustrated and upset as he was. Sakura sighed, You students still need to train tomorrow. You should go back to your cabins and sleep. Midoriya and Jiraiya were silent, but they nodded slowly and whispered a small, Right? Sakura watched as they walked away toward their sleeping areas. She looked back at her own team. Their sad faces were all she needed. It was hard to keep up high morale when they were in a situation like this. But they had to try, they couldn't give up. It was now the third day of the training camp and the students were training like normal. Each of them were already dripping with sweat and incredibly tired, but pure determination kept them going. Hey Sasuke, what is it, Naruto? Sasuke muttered, already annoyed at the blonde. There's a faint sense of chakra coming from Kaminari and Ida. That's probably because I used chakra to help heal them. Sakura pointed out. Do you have an idea, or are you so stupid that Sakura had to explain that to you? Hey! Naruto turned to Sasuke with his fist raised. Sakura forced Naruto back to the ground so hard that she created another small crater. "So do you have an idea or not, Naruto?" Naruto groaned as he got up, but shook it off and sat back down with his friends. "I do have an idea, but it's not about how to get home." Sasuke and Sakura looked up at the ninja expectantly. Now, Naruto had their full attention. Naruto looked over to the students as they trained and took a deep breath. "There's a good chance that Kaguya will come here before we get to her. And if time runs differently, we could be staying here for months until Kaguya comes back." "We already know that, dumbass. What's your point?" Sasuke growled. "You remember how Super Gramps passed on Chakra to other people and it eventually led to Shinobi being created, right? What if we gave them Chakra? We'd have a better chance at defeating Kaguya and they could protect themselves against her." Naruto explained. "That's not a bad idea, but we don't know how long it would take to teach everyone jutsus. On top of that, this is still another world and our bodies are different from theirs. It's a gamble." Sakura thought out loud. Sasuke looked over to the students. Each of them were working hard. There was so much they didn't understand about this world. Giving them Chakra could be beneficial, but it could backfire just as easily. If Kaguya came earlier than expected and those with Chakra weren't properly trained yet, then it would be a feeding ground for her. A complete massacre. But if time ran differently like they thought, then they could fight Kaguya with a fully trained army. No, it's too much of a gamble. Besides, it would take years to figure out the right jutsus and hand signs if they have a different chakra natures than us. If Kaguya comes too early, then it would only benefit her. There's too much risk. Sasuke spoke up, but Naruto started. "No, besides we don't know anything about this world other than here. For all we know, they could be the bad guys here. If we give them Chakra and it turns out they aren't who they say, it'll be troublesome." Sasuke interrupted. "TCH, do you have any ideas then, Sasuke? We have to try something." Naruto growled, standing up so he loomed over Sasuke. Naruto calmed down. "I know you're frustrated, we all are, but we can't afford to fight each other." Sasuke's right, it's too much of a gamble. Sakura put a hand on the blonde's shoulder. Naruto sighed and sat back down. His legs dangled over the cliff. Naruto's blue eyes looked over the students as they trained restlessly. It reminded him of when he was younger, training and fighting alongside his friends, doing ridiculous training exercises with Lee and Guy and learning with Jiraiya one-on-one. He rested his head on his knees and closed his eyes. "I promise that I will come back and save you. Everyone, all right, everybody. Time for your reward," Ragdoll announced. Everyone was gathered together just outside of Beast's forest. Team 7 stood off to the side, watching the group carefully in silence. Aizawa stood next to the ninja as he watched his class. Everyone seemed to be having fun, save for Midoriya, who looked incredibly nervous as he found himself alone to face the test of courage. "Aizawa," Sasuke spoke up. You talked about villains before. If this is a hero training camp, then wouldn't there be a risk for an attack? Shouldn't there be more heroes here?" Aizawa put his hands in his pockets. "Yes, we've taken that into consideration. It's not the first time we've been under attack. We took every precaution to make sure this camp was unknown to any outside sources. We couldn't risk bringing too many heroes here." "Who are these villains? They don't sound like normal thugs," Sasuke asked. Aizawa sighed. "They're calling themselves the League of Villains. They're extremely dangerous and fighting to take down our school and the number one hero, All Might." "So I'm guessing you think that we're connected to them?" Sasuke-Sakura started. "No, you're right. At first we thought you were attached to them and were going to attack the students. The students seem to like you, but I'm still not convinced." Aizawa spoke firmly. Sasuke nodded slowly. "You'd be an idiot not to suspect us. Although I assure you everything we told you is the truth." Aizawa said nothing and returned his attention to his students. The Pussycats were finishing up their explanation and everyone was preparing for the game. But Aizawa grabbed Kirishima, Mina, Siro, Sato, and Kaminari and pulled them out of the group. "No, you still have work to do," he mumbled. The group of students whined as they reluctantly followed their teacher while the others lined up to enter the forest. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura sat on the bench and talked amongst themselves as the courage test went on. Pixie Bob, Mandalay, and Tiger were just outside the forest near Team 7. Everyone seemed to be having a great time. Boom! The ground shook violently as loud, thunderous noises replaced the merry ones. What the hell? Naruto yelped in surprise. Pixie Bob turned to Team 7. What's going on? She growled. We could ask the same to you. Sasuke sneered. Is it Kaguya? Sakura asked. No, there's no chakra coming from the forest. Naruto answered. Suddenly, purple misty portals appeared in front of the group. A lizard-like man holding a sword and someone holding an odd pillar appeared. Everyone prepared for battle. Are these the League guys you were talking about? Naruto asked as he pulled out a kunai. The hell? Who are you? We weren't told about any new fake heroes in this camp. The lizard-like man spat out. Don't worry. Some extra faces won't stop us. The one holding the pillar spoke calmly. Stain's legacy will always live on, no matter who we face. The lizard man held his sword in front of him. Stain? Is he behind this? Ida growled. The villain snickered. The lizard-like man ran forward and swung the awful-looking sword at Pixie Bob. Just before it made contact with her, Naruto was hitting the lizard man's side with a blue ball of chakra. Rasengan! He yelled. The villain screamed as he spun out of control and crashed against a tree. The villain holding the pillar was just about to jump in, but Sakura gave him a punch to the stomach. Cha! She yelled angrily. Let us help heroes. Naruto smiled, facing the villains with his confident expression. Don't worry, just leave it to us pros. Mandalay replied. Sakura stepped forward and put her fists together in a punching motion with a grin. Don't worry, Mandalay. If anyone can handle this, it's us. Yeah, just leave it to us, cat lady. Naruto smirked. The clone beside him was firing up another Rasengan. Mandalay sighed, but the expression was short-lived. Where's Koda? She exclaimed, worry pressing over her face. I think I know where he is. Midoriya replied. I'll go with you. Naruto shouted. Shadow clone jutsu. A puff of smoke surrounded the blonde shinobi. 15 clones of himself appeared. I'll send them all over the forest to look for the students. Sasuke stepped forward. I'll find Aizawa and alert him of the situation. I'll try to get a number on how many attackers we have as well. Thank you, all of you. Mandalay smiled. With that, the clones dispersed into the forest, one of them running to Midoriya's side. Spinner and Magna were beginning to recover and rising from the ground. Clone Naruto and Midoriya ran to the mountains in search of Koda as everyone prepared to fight. So where is Koda? Naruto asked. He's up on that mountain. Midoriya replied as they ran. All right, here. Get on my back. Naruto paused and leaned down. Ha! Midoriya spluttered. Trust me, it'll be faster this way. Naruto grinned and picked up the green-haired student. Midoriya clung to Naruto desperately. What are you gonna do? This dash. Naruto grunted slightly as he leaped up in the air. Midoriya stifled a scream. H-dash. Wait, we'll crash dash. Naruto ignored the frightened screeches and landed perfectly on the side of the cliff. He jumped again, easily scaling the side of the mountain. How are you doing that? I focus my chakra on my feet. It's a basic thing that all shinobi eventually learn. We can walk on water too. Naruto grine. Wow, that's amazing. Midoriya beamed. Naruto smirked under the praise, but the light-hearted attitude was short-lived. Once they reached Koda's secret spot, they took note of the dire situation. A large, cloaked man loomed over the small child. A sinister grin would have been behind the white mask he wore. Naruto scowled as Midoriya got off his back. He created another clone and fired up another Rasengan. Kota! Watch out! Midoriya yelled. Koda stumbled away, covering his face as Naruto charged at the man. Rasengan, the blue ball of spinning chakra, collided with the large figure. The cloak flew off and the muscular man growled. TCH, how annoying! He growled, grabbed Naruto's arm and threw him into the cliff. Naruto! Midoriya yelled, charging up full cowling. Naruto groaned, getting up with some difficulty. Midoriya, watch out! This guy has some crazy defense. Kids! The man's voice was low and gravelly. This is going to be fun. He chuckled evilly, taking off the mask that revealed his face. Run! Koda pleaded. Frightened tears threatened to fall from his eyes. Full cowling. Midoriya yelled, charging at the man with his fist raised. Sasuke ran towards the building where Aizawa and the students were in. His face had a hardened expression, a small frown forming on his lips. Can this get any worse? Sasuke paused, standing upright. All right, who are you? I don't remember seeing you on the list. Oh well, you'll burn like everyone else. He grinned. Blue fire burned on his arm. He flung his arm outward, sending the fire towards Sasuke. Sasuke dodged and charged up a Chidori. The blue lightning chirped as it surrounded his fist. The patchwork man's eyes widened as Sasuke's hand cut through his body with insane speed. The man grinned with insanity as he melted, covering his arm with mud. Sasuke pulled out his arm and looked at his muddied arm with disgust. Must be a clone. Normally Sasuke's first reaction would be to look for the real one, but this isn't his world. I can't worry about him, I have to get to Aizawa, Sasuke decided. The second Sasuke opened the door, he was wrapped in a gray cloth. Surrender, villain. Aizawa growled. Where's Naruto and Sakura? They were in on this too, right? We're not villains. It must have been a coincidence that villains would attack here the same time you would. Huh? Aizawa spoke sarcastically, a scowl adorning his features. I can't blame him, I would have done the same, Sasuke thought. Think about it. If I was a villain, I would have killed you already. How convincing. Aizawa scowled. Do you take us for idiots? Your appearance was only a few days before this. We had over 1 million chances to attack you. If our goal was to destroy this place, there would have been a much better time to do it than this. Sasuke kept his voice threateningly calm. Aizawa scowled. Vlad wasn't convinced either, while the students stood behind their teachers in a silent shock. I came to warn you about what's happening. Naruto is searching for the rest of your students and Sakura is helping the Pussycats fight. We're on the same side. Sasuke kept a blank expression. I have to convince them. Things will get far too complicated if they stop trusting us. Aizawa sneered. And why would I believe you? You fought us before and we surrendered. If this was our plan, then why would we attack you then? Sasuke stared into Aizawa's eyes and spoke lowly. Besides, I don't think you'd want us as enemies. He flashed his Sharingan. The red glinted for a moment before returning to the normal black. Aizawa felt a chill run down his spine. An unsettling feeling stirred in the pits of his stomach. What is that? Aizawa growled and reluctantly released Sasuke from his binds. Fine. But if I see anything remotely suspicious, I won't hesitate. Sasuke nodded. If you understand, then I'm going back to find the others. I'm sure you won't mind me coming with you then. Aizawa turned to Vlad. Look after the students here. But Mr. Aizawa Kirishima started. Stay here. Aizawa interrupted. Just don't slow me down. Sasuke muttered. With that, Aizawa and Sasuke left the building and ran into the forest. Whether or not you're involved with the League, you're not innocent, are you, Sasuke? Aizawa still wasn't fully convinced Team 7's story was real, but he knew one thing. Sasuke was suspicious. Something wasn't right, he was far too sinister, especially compared to his teammates. I'll have to leave that for another time. Right now, we have to find my students. With this in mind, the pair ran into the forest. The smell of burning wood and the faint sound of fighting filled the beast's forest. Everyone was fighting for their lives, but the ninja world stayed blissfully ignorant. Kaguya still loomed in the shadows, but like everyone else, was ignorant. Full cowling, Midoriya screamed as he charged toward the villain with a fist raised. His fist landed directly on his side. A solid hit. Naruto grinned. Nice! A solid hit. But the excitement was short-lived. The villain turned his head with a crazed smile. Is that all you got? Midoriya's eyes went wide with fear. The boy jumped away from the villain, barely avoiding an attack. The man's smile grew wider. Aren't heroes supposed to smile? Naruto tightened his jaw. Crap, I can't use too much of my chakra. Maybe I can finish this with a Rasen Shuriken? No, the explosion will be too big. Damn it. Naruto put his hands together, making one more clone of himself. Koda, go with him and get somewhere safe, all right? Koda nodded. Tears were still present in his eyes. He hesitantly got on the back of the clone. You better not lose to a jerk like him, he shouted. The child's voice showcased his fear. Don't worry. We're not going to lose to him no matter what, Midoriya shouted. A slightly broken fist was held in front of his determined grin. The child nodded and clung to Naruto's torn jumpsuit. The clone leapt away with Koda on his back toward the camp. The villain grimaced. Clones and that Rasengan? He scowled. I don't know what game you're playing here, you orange rat, but you'll be dead before you finish it. The villain raised his large fist and brought it down on Naruto. Luckily, Naruto dodged it in time and landed next to Midoriya. Let's try attacking him together. The green-haired boy nodded and charged up another full cowling as Naruto prepared a Rasengan. It doesn't matter if you attack together. The villain growled, muscle fibers wrapping around his arm and torso. My quirk allows me to grow muscles so strong that they can't even be contained by my skin. The duo ran to Muscular with their attacks in hand. They hit his stomach simultaneously. The villain growled and was pushed back. But he didn't fall. What the hell? Naruto grunted as he jumped away with Midoriya. The villain laughed maniacally. Your faces, haha. Yes, show me more of your fear. Naruto growled. Midoriya, I have a plan. Midoriya glanced at Naruto, silently encouraging him to speak. I'm going to hit him with my special attack. I'll need you to hit him with a full punch. Special attack? Someone like him, what is it? How powerful? Midoriya grinned and nodded. The knucklehead ninja smirked and made several clones of himself. All of them had a Rasengan in hand. The villain smirked. Is this your only plan? The clone's mischievous smirk grew wider. Harem jutsu. Wait, what? Midoriya's innocent eyes widened. Suddenly, a puff of smoke encased the clones and the villain's eyes went wide. Naked girls surrounded him, each one either blowing him a kiss or in a suggestive pose. The villain stumbled in surprise, his face turning red. Midoriya nearly fainted from the sight as he jumped through the girls. Despite the distraction, he charged up an attack in his arm. Detroit Smash, 100%. He screamed as the clones disappeared. It was a solid hit in the face. The muscular villain flew into the rocky cliff. The ground shook as he broke through the rock and made a large cave. Did that get him? Naruto asked. I think so. Midoriya bit back the pain as he clutched his right arm. Whoa, are you okay? Your arm is dash. Naruto yelped.
Yeah, I'm ok.
Midoriya waved his good arm in front of him. Besides, what was that attack you hit him with earlier? Naruto snickered. My special jutsu that I've been working on for years. It always works on stronger opponents. Don't get too comfortable over there. A deep voice rumbled from the rubble. That was a dirty trick, you orange rat. A large frame rose from under the broken cliff. He was covered in blood and bruises, but had a sinister grin plastered on his face. Muscles began to form over his battered body. He appeared even bigger than before, and even more daunting. Naruto scowled and lowered his body in a ready position. I can't take any damage from this guy. If he hits me with even one of those punches, I'm going to disappear. I can't leave Midoriya alone with this guy if he takes damage from himself. I was at 100%. Midoriya stuttered in disbelief. We'll defeat this guy. Don't worry, Midoriya. Naruto grinned. All right, you're pretty confident. The villain chuckled with a crazed smile. And don't try that shit again either. Hehe. Before I kill both of you, I have to ask. Do you know where a kid named Bakugo is? Midoriya grimaced as he held his arm. The power of All for One was still coursing through him. Bakugo? What would they want with him? Wait, dash. The way he's standing, our attack had an effect after all. Naruto. I found a way we can beat him. Midoriya looked over to Naruto with his determined gaze. Naruto leaned in as Midoriya quickly explained the plan and smiled. Perfect! Strategizing in front of the enemy? Muscular pulled back his fist. That's not very smart. The villain released a massive blow in between Midoriya and Naruto, but they effectively dodged. Come here, the now transformed clone beckoned with a coy wink. The villain scowled. I told you not to try that crap. He brought his fist down, crushing the clone with a puff of smoke. 1,000,000%. Delaware Detroit dash. The villain looked above him, his eyes widened. Massive Rasengan. Smash! The attacks hit the villain. He screamed as he was propelled backward into the rock. The ground shook with even more ferocity than before. For sure now, the villain was completely and utterly defeated. Ha! We did it! Naruto cheered, turning to Midoriya with a hand raised. But once he saw his arms, "God dash, what happened to your arms?" He yelped, "I'm fine." Midoriya dismissed quickly. Did Koda get back safely? Naruto nodded. Yeah, he's with the others now. The other clones found most of your friends too. Do you know where Kakin is? Midoriya asked. Naruto scratched his head. Do you mean that angry kid who wanted to fight me? No, none of the clones found him yet. Midoriya nodded furiously. I think these villains want to capture him. They're probably looking for other students too. We need to tell Mandalay so she can inform everyone. All right, let's go then. Naruto grinned. Midoriya nodded, running through the forest alongside Naruto. Sasuke ran along with Aizawa, sprinting through the forest in search of the students. Why do you run like that? Sasuke looked over to Aizawa with a blank expression. It's efficient, Aizawa grunted, saying nothing to his response. Everywhere he looks, there's another thing about these kids that make no sense. But it was clear that if he was looking for answers, that none of them would come from Sasuke. Naruto, Sasuke called out. Sasuke, Midoriya. The pairs came together. Midoriya and Naruto both looked beaten up. Aizawa looked down at his student. What happened? We went to find Koda, but we ran into a villain. Midoriya winced slightly as he clutched his broken arm. They want to kidnap Kakin. There's probably other students they want to take too. My other clone took Koda and most of the students to a safe place.
Naruto added.
Where is the real Naruto then? Sasuke asked. He's looking for the villains. Of course he is. Sasuke sighed, trying his best not to facepalm. Where are my students now? Aizawa asked. I took them to a building where another hero already was. I think his name was Clad or something. Vlad. Aizawa asked with slight annoyance. Yeah, Sasuke sighed, even Naruto's clones are idiots. Where are they? Naruto scowled. Some of his clones disappeared and relayed their memories to him. He knew most of 1B and some of Class 1A students were safe. But he didn't know how many villains were out. Man, who knew finding people without being able to sense chakra is so hard? After running through the forest for a few more minutes, a feminine voice spoke from his head. We are under attack by the League of Villains. Aizawa has given you permission to use your quirks to defend yourself and your classmates. A student named Kakin is being targeted. If this is you, please get to a safe area. This must be one of the cat ladies. A rush of memories filled him, an indicator that one of his clones disappeared. A fight with a villain when he left a clone with Midoriya to find Koda. It seemed like everything was okay over there. The blonde breathed a sigh of relief. At least one problem was solved. Naruto perked his head up as he saw familiar faces on the forest floor. He jumped down, "Hey Dash!" but he was cut off as a wave of ice rushed toward him. He was barely able to dodge the attack and landed off to the side. It's fine.
I'm Naruto.
He got up and ran in front of the ice. I know you're with the League. Drop the act, Naruto. Todoroki scowled. His stance was low and braced for a fight. No, I'm with you guys. My teammates are fighting against the villains too. He waved his hands frantically. I'm here to take you to the heroes. They're looking for certain students to either kill or capture. As far as Midoriya, and I know they're looking to capture you. He pointed at Bakugo, who had a grimace twisted on his face. Where's Midoriya then? Todoroki didn't break his stance as his eyes hardened. He's with one of the cat ladies. We met up with Aizawa. He's the one who said to use your quirks. You're making yourself more suspicious, idiot. A smooth voice emanated from the shadows. The group voiced in unison as they looked to where the voice came from. Out from the trees, Sasuke jumped down and gave an icy stare at the group. Your teacher thought the same thing, but no, we're not with the League. You know that, don't you, Bakugo? His dark eyes met Bakugo's fiery red ones. His gaze sent a shiver down his spine, although Bakugo would never admit that. With a grimace, he nodded. Calm down, Icy Hot. They aren't our enemy. How do you know? Todoroki relaxed a little as he turned toward his classmate. Think about it, dumbass. Don't you think they'd attack us already once this shit started instead of this? Bakugo grumbled. Todoroki gave one last look of suspicion at the duo but quickly got rid of it and sighed. Fine, alright. Then let's get you to Scarf Gramps dash.
Hell no.
Bakugo interrupted. I'm going to fight these guys. I don't give a crap about what you have to say. Bakugo, that's not a smart move. Todoroki stated. Yeah. If these people are targeting you, then you should get somewhere safe. Naruto agreed. Suddenly, Sasuke slapped Naruto on the back of his head. You have no right to talk, moron. Hey, that was different. Not really. Sasuke sighed and looked back at Bakugo. But they're right, you need to be taken to Vlad and your classmates. Bakugo grumbled, but didn't say anything to retaliate. Alright, Naruto. Make some clones to surround them and take them to the others. The blonde shinobi nodded, but their plans were cut short by a sudden scream followed by the sound of trees crashing. The group looked behind them. A man in a straitjacket and teeth protruding from his mouth was pursued by a purple bird-like giant, and in front of it all was Shoji and Midoriya running for their lives. What the hell is that? Naruto yelped. Run! The pair screamed. They didn't need to be told twice as the group immediately began to run. The Dark Crow attacked the teeth villain with its large hand. The villain wasn't able to recover as it was beaten down by another attack. Ok! Make some light. Todoroki. Kakin, explosions and fire lit up the area. The villain was still being pummeled, but each punch was weaker than the last as the Dark Crow monster became smaller and smaller. Soon Tokoyami was in view. Dark Shadow was once again under control. I'm sorry, everyone. I lost control. He spoke sadly, looking away. I could have killed you. No harm done though, right? You took down that guy. Naruto smiled. Shoji put a webbed hand on Tokoyami's shoulder. You got angry when that villain hurt me, right? You didn't do anything wrong. He assured the crow-like male. Tokoyami looked away and nodded slowly. Naruto grinned. All right, we need to get all of you to the heroes. My clones found more of your classmates too. Really? Who? Midoriya asked. Two girls, one with brown hair and the other that sort of looks like a frog. A guy with blonde hair and a weird belt. Oh, and a girl with black hair and a guy from the other class. Couldn't you have at least tried to remember their names, idiot? Sasuke muttered. Sounds like Uraraka. Tsuyu, Momo, Aoyama, and Awaze. Midoriya grinned. You actually understood that. Todoroki and Sasuke mumbled. If we're done with questions, we should take the students to Aizawa and Vlad. Sasuke spoke up. Right. The group nodded, but when they turned to Bakugo and Tokoyami, they were nowhere to be found. A hearty chuckle emanated from above. There in the trees stood another villain. His white mask seemed to glow in the dark area. Looks like we have a few more audience members than expected. He laughed. The group tensed. Naruto growled. Give him back. Another small laugh came from the villain. All right then. He threw a small blue marble toward the group. With a shimmer, it transformed into a large boulder. Naruto quickly jumped into action and fired up a Rasengan, easily destroying the large rock. If they could see his face, the villain would have appeared surprised. He expected them to dodge that, of course, but not to completely demolish it so easily. I should avoid combat with them. The villain jumped away. Good thing I'm a master escape artist. He mumbled happily to himself. Oh no, you don't. A yell came from behind the villain. He looked back to find the blonde ninja right behind him with another Rasengan in hand. Oh shit. Naruto tackled the villain midair as the Rasengan hit the villain square in the stomach. The yellow-clad man yelped in pain as he spun through the air at a terrifying speed. He crashed in the trees. Leaves and dirt sprouted up from the harsh collision. The group ran towards the area where the villain landed, fully prepared for a fight. But he wasn't there. Your attack worried me there. A sing-song voice came from above. But I won't allow you to hit me again. His yellow trench coat floated around him as he made his descent even farther away than before. Midoriya scowled. Anger contorted the normally soft features on his face. Without warning, he leapt up and followed the villain in close pursuit. Midoriya! His classmates shouted in surprise at the sudden move. Give them back! He screamed. Detroit Smash! The villain barely managed to dodge the attack, but was sent flying again by the air pressure surrounding the punch. My legs are fine but dash. Midoriya groaned as pain shot through his broken arm. It was so dark purple it might as well be black, and it flopped uselessly behind him. But seeing the villain land clumsily on the forest floor was proof that it was worth it. Midoriya, Naruto shouted, jumping up to catch the green-haired hero. Thanks, Naruto. Midoriya spoke through his teeth, fighting the pain filling his body. The blonde nodded with a grin and landed next to the unconscious villain. Todoroki, Shoji, and Sasuke arrived next to them not long after. We need to find where he keeps those marbles from earlier. Todoroki spoke up as he kneeled down beside the villain. Sasuke nodded. Pin him up against that tree. It'll be easier that way. I assume you have experience? Shoji spoke softly, as if speaking to himself. Sasuke said nothing, but Todoroki continued to search the body. Suddenly, his eyes went wide. What dash? He stepped back from the villain in shock as the body turned into mud and melted into the ground. A clone? Naruto exclaimed. Good try. I applaud your valiant efforts, future heroes. The same silky voice came from behind the group. Now multiple villains were gathered in the small clearing of trees. The patchwork, the yellow trench coat, the lizard man, and the magnet villains were gathered together, although the latter two were barely standing. And a word of advice. Mr. Compress pulled off his mask and stuck out his tongue, revealing 2 blue marbles. If someone is showing something flashy, it's because he has something he doesn't want to reveal. His smile reached his ears as a purple portal formed behind them. Midoriya jumped out of Naruto's hold and began sprinting toward the villain group. Todoroki and Shoji followed suit. A black orb flew toward the magician-like villain seemingly out of nowhere and hit him square in the stomach. He coughed, spitting out the 2 marbles holding Bakugo and Tokoyami captive. Naruto grinned, 5 black orbs floating around his body. The trio of aspiring heroes ran towards the marbles with their arms outstretched, seemingly in slow motion. Midoriya yelped as he tripped over his injured feet. Shoji had better luck though, as his hand wrapped around the marble holding Tokoyami. But just before Todoroki could grab the other marble, the patchwork villain gave him a twisted grin as his hand grabbed the marble first. The villain group pulled back into the portal, all of them with sinister smiles, knowing that they had won. With a shimmer, Tokoyami and Bakugo were released. But the only thing they could see was Bakugo's pained face as he was pulled into the portal. Stay back, Deku, he rasped. Despite all of it happening in under a minute, the moment felt like hours. The forest returned to silence. The remaining group stood in a silent shock. Midoriya doubled over, tears running down his broken face. He let out a gut-wrenching cry. Whether it was out of pain or for Bakugo, the rest of the students felt the same. Bakugo was gone. When everyone managed to get together after the attack, it was no surprise that Team 7 was immediately put under suspicion. But after seeing how they fought to protect the students, they were dismissed. Things seemed to slow for Midoriya though. Everything didn't quite register for him. He was admitted into a hospital right away. Luckily, his limbs were not beyond saving. His arms were shattered, but nothing new. Several other students such as Yaoyorozu and some 1B students were admitted into the hospital, but none of them had severe injuries thanks to Naruto finding them first. 3 villains were caught and identified as well. Muscular, Moonfish, and Mustard were taken into custody. It was determined that this was another attack from the League of Villains. As for Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, they were kept secret from the press and labeled as a UA issue. They were given to Recovery Girl instead of a hospital to take care of their injuries to ensure their secrecy. Oh dear, these injuries are awful. How long have you been keeping them untreated? She yelped. It looks like you've been through your fair share of battles. Team 7 laid on the beds, getting a small scolding from the older woman. It worked surprisingly well on Naruto, since he had his fair share of angry healers. While he hadn't gotten particularly close with Bakugo, Naruto was determined to help save him, although he didn't even have to open his mouth for his teammates to know what he was going to say. Of course, his idea was shot down, but there was plenty of doubt that he would listen. Sakura insisted she could help the other students with their injuries, but was told to stay put. After all, she had injuries of her own, and stepping out of UA grounds could mean unwanted rumors and media interference. Sasuke, to put it simply, didn't give a flying shit. He had the same stance throughout all of this. Avoid getting too close with this world's people and don't interfere with this world's problems. Sadly, thanks to a certain teammate, both of those rules were broken. Was he the only one that cared about defeating Kaguya? Was he the only one actually making sure they didn't overuse Chakra? Despite his attitude, there were people he needed to save as well. He needed to reach his goal. He knew that Sakura and Naruto had goals too. So why are they acting so recklessly? Your name is Sasuke, right? Recovery girl spoke up. Sasuke turned to face the older woman, nodding his head slightly. She gave a sweet smile. I was told about your situation. Don't worry too much about it, dear. It'll be bad for your recovery. She chuckled. The other heroes will help you, so try not to think of all of them as enemies. Sasuke was silent to this. He found it hard to do anything else but nod. While he didn't think that the heroes would take their word, somehow her words were reassuring. I shouldn't get into this world's problems, but this world is interesting. Gah, it's a rat. Naruto yelped. Am I a bear or a rat? Who knows? All that matters is that I'm the principal. Nizu spoke cheerfully with a paw in the air, while Aizawa stood almost limply next to him at the entrance of the nurse's office, tired eyes wandering over the team. IT talks, Naruto shrieked. Sakura punched Naruto harshly on the back of the head. Be respectful. He's letting us stay here, idiot, she muttered with a scowl. Sasuke sighed. Despite it being midday, the sigh was filled with tiredness. Moron, Nizu chuckled, taking no offense to Naruto's remarks. It's been decided that you'll be staying in the UA dorms for now. Of course, there will be further investigation of your story. You'll be kept as top secret information. No one other than me and our most trusted staff will know about you. Sakura bowed with a soft smile. Thank you, sir. Naruto jumped up from his seat again. Wait, what about that kid? Are the other students okay? Thanks to your help, only Midoriya was seriously injured. Bakugo is still captured and Ragdoll is missing, but rest assured we will get them back. You have our greatest appreciation. Many of the students could have left with permanent damage, but thanks to your quick actions, many were left unscathed. Nizu assured. Is there anything else I can do? If I did more, then he wouldn't have been captured at all. Naruto looked at the principal with begging eyes. Nizu smiled warmly. UA is extremely grateful for the aid you provided during the attack. Sadly, it seemed the capture of young Bakugo was inevitable. For now, I suggest you rest. We are not incapable. Believe us when I say that we will get Bakugo back. Sakura turned to her blonde teammate with a hand on his shoulder. Don't worry about it, Naruto. Besides, we can't let our identities be revealed. If we did anything, then it would just make things more complicated. There was a moment of silence as the words sunk in, but Sasuke spoke up not long after. We should let this world handle their own problems. Like Sakura said, we'd be doing more harm than good. Sasuke met eyes with Naruto's. I'll be watching you to make sure you don't try anything. Knowing you, you'll stop at nothing to bring someone back. Naruto's sweat dropped, but nodded reluctantly. With a sigh, Aizawa ran his hand through his messy black hair and looked over the team. Before you join the students in the dorms, we're going to interrogate you three about your story again as soon as possible. The other heroes wouldn't even bother with this if the wild pussycats and I didn't experience your power firsthand. But be warned that they aren't so ready to believe the whole crossing over into another dimension story. Team 7 nodded. The Erasure hero sighed tiredly. That's all I have to say. Principal Nizu. Nizu nodded at Aizawa before turning back toward the team. That goes for me too. It was nice meeting you, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. He smiled, bowing slightly before walking out of the room with Aizawa following closely behind. So who do you think those other kiddos are? Twice asked, switching to another voice. It's none of my business. He shook his head. I say they're new friends, Togaku'd. Leaning over the bar counter, the League of Villains stood around the dim-lit bar. A chained-up Bakugo sat against a wall, anger and frustration practically rushing out from the boy. It was now in the late evening, and while Bakugo would never admit it, he was nervous. Scared even, after all, he was tied up in front of the villain group that had been tormenting UA since the beginning of the year. Who are you talking about? A crusty blue-haired man asked. There were 3 kids that looked a little older than the students of Class 1A. They're remarkably strong. Magna and I fought one of them. Spinner mumbled irritably, caressing the many bruises and nearly shattered bones Sakura gave him. How about you tell us, Bakugo? The patchwork villain asked. I ain't telling you shit. Bakugo cursed, straining against the chains that scraped his skin. So they are important. Shigaraki rasped. Ha! Those extras. They aren't worth shit. Bakugo yelled. Now that I think back on it, one of them could make clones. The blonde one sent them all over the forest. The pink-haired girl we fought had insane strength. Magna commented. Ah, a doppelganger. Twice yelped. Or perhaps a family member? Mr. Compress, the yellow-clad villain, looked over to Magna. What? The blonde-haired kid I fought could create these blue balls he called Raisingans. He hit me with one and sent me flying. That's not all of it either. He was able to control 6 black spheres as well. They appeared out of nowhere and hit you, causing us to lose Tokoyami. Dabi spoke up. How about the third one? Kurogiri asked. I saw him, but he didn't do anything remarkable. I don't know anything that could have hinted toward his quirk. Spinner answered. Multiple quirks. You said the blonde one looked human? Shigaraki asked. Spinner and Compress nodded. Behind the gray hand, Shigaraki's cracked lips twisted into a sinister smile. Interesting. It looks like we hit a goldmine here. So how about it, Bakugo? Are you willing to give up any information about these 3? Bakugo scowled, his eyes hardening into the harshest of stares. Like I said, I'm not saying anything, and I'm not going to join your stupid-ass villain club. Shigaraki hummed. We'll see. At the hospital, Class 1A was gathered around Midoriya's hospital bed. While he had overused his quirk, there was no permanent damage. Although there was a warning from the doctors that any more strain on his bones and muscles would have put the use of his arms at risk. Luckily, all of that was avoided. Now there was a different problem. Kirishima was absolutely pissed at the loss of his friend. He hated his uselessness during the battle, believing that it was partially his fault that his friend got captured. Of course, everyone called it a suicide mission. How is a small group of kids going to go onto enemy territory and save someone surrounded by people that could take on pros? That wasn't the only problem with the proposal either, but Kirishima wouldn't have it. Fine then, I'll be waiting in front of the hospital at 10. If anyone wants to come then meet me there. He huffed, leaving the room. The lingering classmates stood awkwardly around Midoriya's bedside, but didn't stay long and eventually left, leaving Midoriya alone to think about the plan. Although he already had his answer, nothing was going to stop him from saving his friend. Oh, how about this one mother? What are we going to do with him? Kaguya huffed, clutching her wounds as she leaned against an oddly colored pillar. Her eyes bore into Kakashi's tired ones. His eyes were dripping blood. Broken bones and bruises covered his body. What did you do to them? Where did you take them? Kakashi growled, his words filled with pain and malice. It should have been a week now. Black Zetsu chuckled. So odd. How time runs differently in other worlds. A week. But it's barely been a minute. Kakashi's eyes widened. Just after getting back his students, they were ripped away from him. He swore silently he couldn't let it end here. Kaguya lifted herself slowly from the ground, stumbling ever so slightly. Why don't we join them? Come! Kirishima yelled, stretching out his hand. The explosions that erupted from Bakugo's hand shook the ground violently. Shigaraki ran to Bakugo, but his attempts to catch Bakugo were futile. Explosions still went off on his hands as he propelled through the air at an incredible speed. Bakugo's hand reached out as Kirishima's hand wrapped around it firmly. Bakugo looked up with a grin. You stupid or something? The villains looked up in shock as the students made his escape. Even the heroes looked shocked. They didn't expect the recovering UA students to show up at all. But for All Might, it was nothing less but the best outcome. Now he could go all out without having to worry about Bakugo. He grinned as he turned to All for One, a new energy coursing through him. Bakugo, on my mark, create a blast dash. Ida started. You match my mark. Bakugo shot back. Don't fight at a time like this. Kirishima cut through the forming argument. Todoroki and Momo were pressed against the broken slab of concrete as they watched their teammates fly away to safety. Relieved to see that the plan was a success. Just as we thought. Their eyes are locked on them. This is our chance. Let's go, Todoroki stated. Right. Momo nodded, following closely behind her friend. Meanwhile, Shigaraki was shaking with anger as he watched Midoriya and the others whisk away and disappear into the night sky. You show up everywhere, and now I have to worry about that stupid team you have on your side. He muttered angrily. He's that All Might guy you were talking about? Naruto yelped, pointing at the screen showing a beat-up skeleton. Shut up, idiot, you're too loud. Sasuke mumbled. He's been working as our symbol of peace for years, Recovery Girl explained. All Might is someone that everyone here aspires to be, but he was in a bad fight before, causing this. But there's no way he can win. That guy he's fighting. Sakura's voice trailed off. Recovery Girl looked at the screen showcasing the fight sadly. He has two. Naruto looked down. His fists were so tight the knuckles were nearly sheet white. He wanted to break out and help him, but he couldn't. He was forced to stay and watch, definitely not his style. The only thing stopping him was the harsh gaze of Sasuke, just daring him to try something. But when the fight was over, even Team 7 stood in absolute shock. Cheers erupted from the crowds of people watching and tears fell from relieved faces. All Might held his fist high in the air to symbolize his victory. In that moment, millions of feelings were directed at the symbol of peace. Happiness, awe, adoration, relief, anger, malice, hope, excitement. These mix of emotions fell onto All Might's bony shoulders. He pointed at the camera, and with his tired, raspy voice, delivered this line. Next, it's your turn. After the night ended and morning began, Team 7 was interrogated like promised. Nizu, Midnight, Aizawa, and present Mike and Vlad King were there. They gave the same story and showcased their powers like before. I don't buy it. How do we know that this isn't some complicated quirk? Hell, what if they're Nomus? Midnight spoke up. I don't think so. Aizawa pulled out a folder and opened it to reveal medical work done on all three. Look at this, they're human. On top of that, there's nothing proving that they have a quirk, much less multiple. So they're really from a different universe, huh? Present Mike leaned back in his chair with his arms crossed. Crazy. You said there was a lady from your world that brought you here, correct? She's powerful even by your standards, and you're the only people that can seal her away, right? Will and when will Kaguya come here? Vlad King asked. Sasuke, who had been quiet throughout this, spoke up. There's a strong possibility she will, although we can't say for sure when Kaguya will show up. We've learned that your world runs much faster than ours does. It could be a day, week, even months until she comes here. Sasuke looked up at the heroes with his piercing onyx eyes. If Kaguya comes here before we can figure out a way to get back, then I ask you to stay out of our way. We can't guarantee anyone's Safet dash. No. Midnight cut in. What? Sorry, kid. But that's not how things work here. We're pro-heroes. Our job never guaranteed anything. If someone poses a threat, we fight to protect everyone, including you. All Might spoke up. Sasuke sighed and shook his head slightly while Naruto grinned. Thank you. There's one last thing I'd like to ask you three before we end this, if you don't mind. Nizu spoke up. What about your teacher, Kakashi? You said he was with you when you were fighting Kaguya. The air around the team grew solemn as silence overtook the room. Naruto tightened his fists as Sakura spoke. We were the only ones teleported here. Kakashi-sensei is with Kaguya in her world. He'll survive. Naruto spoke up confidently. Kakashi-sensei is strong too. He'll find a way. He's not going to die. It's too early for him. It couldn't have been long in our world, Naruto thought. Sasuke's expression darkened, but he didn't express his doubts. Sakura smiled, nodding along with Naruto's statement. They had to have faith in him, that's all they could offer. All right then, it is decided. The dorms are nearly finished. When it's done, you can stay with the students. UA will try its best to find a way to get you home and fight Kaguya. You have our full cooperation. Nizu stood up and bowed deeply. Naruto's smile widened as he cheered. Sakura and Sasuke said their thanks. I have to do my patrols, Principal Nizu, if you don't mind. Aizawa spoke up. All right, everyone is free to go. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, I can show you where you'll be staying for the next couple of days. Nizu announced. Aizawa nodded and quickly left the meeting room. He walked through the halls swiftly, ignoring any lingering people that stayed in the halls. Aizawa turned around as an odd sound came from behind him. A thin black line appearing in the space behind him, slowly widening into an oval. Aizawa jumped back. His eyes turned red as his scarf flared up around him. "What the hell? Are you Kaguya?" The black oval stretched into a large circle and muffled voice came from the other side. Aizawa wasn't able to react as something came out and collided in the hero's stomach. He wasn't able to see what came out as the portal quickly disappeared. Naruto was the first to sense it. Sasuke and Sakura felt it not even a second after. They were still gathered with the other pro heroes and were just about to leave when, "That's Kaguya's chakra," they gasped in unison. "What? She's here." Midnight shot up from her chair. In an instant, an immense pressure surrounded Team 7. Naruto and Sasuke activated the powers given to them, while Sakura began to build up chakra in preparation for a fight. In an instant, they were out the door before any of the heroes could question them further. The team sped down the empty hallways of UA with the speed only a ninja in their world could have. There was no doubt that Kaguya's portal opened in the school. "Wait, dash!" Naruto gasped. "Sasuke, dash!" If Sasuke had any reaction to the chakra he sensed, he didn't show it. Only letting out the words, "I know, God dash!" Aizawa grunted as his back crashed against the cold tiles of the school. The thing on top of him groaned. The noise shook Aizawa out of shock. In one swift movement, he shoved the body off of him and backed away, fully prepared for a fight. The body was one of a man. He had a green vest, dark blue pants, and a long-sleeved shirt. His silver hair was swept to one side, and like the shinobi team when they first entered, looked as if he went through war. The portal had completely disappeared. The only remnant was him. He doesn't look like Kaguya according to Naruto's description. Aizawa didn't let his guard down though. "Who are you?" he barked. The man groaned and got up slowly. He looked around in confusion until his eyes landed on Aizawa. "I could ask the same to you. Are you with Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura?" Aizawa asked, not letting down his guard. The man's eyes widened. "You know them. Wait. Scarf Gramps, don't kill him." A voice screeched. Team 7 came into view, their faces much brighter than ever before. Even Sasuke seemed relieved at the sight of the man. "Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura." He spoke in surprise, and if it wasn't for the mask, you could have seen his large grin. The team surrounded their sensei in an embrace. Their smiles widened as their arms tightened around the person who became more than just a teacher. Even Sasuke, although he wouldn't admit he'd done it at gunpoint. "You know him?" Aizawa hesitantly relaxed, his scarf lowering down to his shoulders. "Yeah, he's our sensei." Naruto grinned. Aizawa sighed and put his hands in his pockets. "I'm sorry about that. I'm Aizawa. Your students showed up about a week ago. I'm the one who's been keeping tabs on them." "Aizawa!" Another voice rang out through the hallway, followed by loud footsteps. "It's all right, it was a false alarm," Aizawa announced. "Who is he then?" Midnight asked. "I'm Kakashi Hatake, a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village." Kakashi looked over to the team of heroes consisting of Midnight, Nizu, Present Mike, and Vlad King. "But why did you sense Kaguya when he arrived?" Vlad King asked. "We definitely sensed Kaguya's chakra, but it was just her portal. Kaguya didn't go through. I'm guessing you stopped her." Sasuke looked up at Kakashi. "Why don't we join them?" "I won't let you." Kakashi growled and stood up despite his injuries. Kaguya ignored him and walked to the side. She rose her arms and began to open a portal. Due to her dramatic loss of chakra, the portal opened much slower. "Obito, I'm sorry. Looks like I'll have to rely on you again." Kakashi closed his eyes, grabbing the fading strings of Obito's chakra. When he opened them, his eyes were a blood red, the Mangekyo activating once again. The silver-haired shinobi leapt forward. "Kamui!" Kaguya screamed as her left arm twisted into nothing. She growled and reached for Kakashi as a gray rod shot out of her sleeve. But like her arm, it twisted into nothing and left for Obito's dimension. Frustrated, she reached for his neck. But Kakashi was quick and leapt back, falling through her portal. Yeah, Kaguya couldn't keep that portal open for too long. The physical strain of crossing entire universes must be too much, even for her. Kakashi brought a hand to his chin. "How long have you been here?" "About a week." Sakura answered. Kakashi's eyes widened for a split second before returning to their normal half-lidded look. Back there, you have only been gone for a minute at most. So it's true then, there is a major time gap between our world and this one. Sasuke went silent, thoughts and ideas whirring in his mind. We should save this talk for later. Right now, we should get you to Recovery Girl. Aizawa spoke up. Recovery Girl? Don't worry, sir. Everything will be explained to you in time. Nizu raised a paw in the air. Kakashi nodded. Thank you. Who the hell is that guy? Bakugo shouted while pointing at Kakashi. I'm Kakashi Hatake. Just call me Kakashi. Kakashi is in charge of watching those three. And until the dorms are finished, they'll be staying here at UA. Just don't cause trouble for them. Aizawa sighed with his hands sitting lazily in his pockets. So another one came, Midoriya thought. The whole idea of different universes had been spinning in his mind ever since the truth about the team was revealed. And there was no doubt in his mind that Kakashi was from Naruto's world. After all, they act as if they've known each other for years, and if he was right then, they probably do. This guy, is he just as powerful as Naruto and Sasuke? Bakugo stared down the silver-haired man with suspicion. Judging by how relaxed Naruto and Sakura was around him, they probably knew each other for years. But that would mean that Kaguya, the powerful being that even Sasuke is wary of, is here or nearly came through. Well, that's all I have to say. Summer classes are still going on tomorrow. You're dismissed for the day. Aizawa grumbled, leaving the classroom with a tired sigh. So you'll be staying with us in the dorms? Mina asked excitedly. Yeah, I hope you don't mind. Sakura smiled. Wait, I have an idea. Momo spoke up. You guys need clothes, right? I need to buy some things too. So why don't we all go to the mall together and do some shopping? Kaminari perked up. Hey, that's not a bad idea. I should buy a couple things too since we're moving into the dorms and all. Bakugo scoffed. Like I'd want to do anything that's stupid. I'll go too. Yurikaka smiled. I could use some new equipment. Midoriya mumbled. Alright, it's decided then. We can go after class tomorrow. Hagakure jumped up, growling. I can't believe he did that. Is he so stupid that he would try to go against you, mother? He doesn't even have Hagoromo's powers. Kaguya sighed, holding her regenerating arm tightly. We'll just have to wait some more until I can open the portal again. It won't be long until I get to them again. Ash, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring this what if with me. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Your support truly makes a difference, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Until next time, take care and stay tuned for more.